What's happening, San Diego? Great Tuesday to you. Welcome back to your midday hang. It's Andy and Elsten here with you for the next 4 hours on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're all together in our Odyssey studios. Andy Heilbrunn is here. I'm Craig Elsten. Braden Suprenant joins us for 4 hours of live local San Diego sports talk radio, working our way toward 2 o'clock. And the Gwen and Chris Show. What's going on? Annie, how are you?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Nate in the chat says disinfect that mic.
Yeah.
From Woodsy. I hope Woodsy's feling better.
Are you feeling
someone
worse?
Passing. I'm feeling a little something. I'm hoping it's just, the weather kind of changing.
Uh-huh.
But I did disinfect. I came in hot with the what are they? Disinfectant wipes?
Yeah, the Lysol wipes, the
Lysol
bleach wipes. I'm sorry for a brand. The bleach wipes.
Yeah, the bleach wipes.
Okay.
So came in hot with that, disinfected, and we've got the door open for a little bit.
Do have the door open, which is
Yeah.
fine because, it's not like we have the teeming masses here at the
No.
Odyssey Palace.
It's actually pretty easily that we can keep the door open and not have to,
Dan might
suffer any
walk by on his
consequences.
phone.
Right.
Maybe Adam dealing with a caller. That's about it. Michael wants a blue moon.
Now, how was your night? How was San Diego State?
San Diego State was great. We'll talk about the game probably a little bit more next segment in depth. Experience-wise, it had been a minute since I had been there. Full disclosure, I used to work across the street. I used to do pre-post halftime for those games. I used to be down by Uncle Teddy, courtside.
Yeah.
And then other times working for that, up whenever. Just I've been there a lot of times, and it had been a while since I had been there. So it was a lot of fun. I still know the way to get to that back parking structure that's a little bit easier than the other ones. Walking around the campus a little bit and checking out the arena and then getting my pass. And I was up in the secondary press box area, but that's a great place to be.
It is.
All the TV folks are up there. Bryce Miller, Kirk Kenny were there.
Yes.
My buddy Mike Usher, I used to work with on Padres radio back in the day. Got to catch up with him at the game. Of course, Benny was there. Saw Jake Ariani, saw Todd Strain. Saw a lot of our media buddies. And the atmosphere is like no other, for sure. The place was truly sold out.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference between sold out and actually sold out.
Yeah, like turnstile.
Meaning like all the seats people are sitting in.
Right.
And I knew coming in at like 6:40 that it was going to be the case because, it's one of the old tricks I always use. Like you look at the very top, and when the very top rows are already filled in, and then you see the concourse is just teeming with people, I'm like, yeah, all those middle rows are getting filled in. Yeah. If the top rows are filled in, the middle rows are getting filled in. This place is going to be jammed. And it was. It was waiting to explode. And the thing was, Gonzaga led the entire game. They were tied once, pretty much, 12-12. They got tied once, and the rest of the game, the Aztecs were playing from behind. They might have tied it a second time. I don't remember, but generally they've been playing from behind. So it was a matter of like, yay, we're within 9. Oh.
Yeah. Like I saw at half, 9-point difference going into halftime. And I thought, look, it could be so much worse, right? 9-point difference. Yeah. You've seen the Aztecs come back from that. They stayed in the game. And they'd closed the gap. I saw Brian Dutcher say last night he wished it would have gotten a little tighter, where it was like a 6-point difference, and that would have been a lot more within striking distance. But like I said, we've seen the Aztecs come back from 9, 12, 14-point differences before. We'll get into the game more, but just on the vibes, we'll get into the game more on the show. But just on the vibes, it's a really fun place to be, and the San Diego fans show up so well for Aztecs basketball and show up really loud. And I'm sure you were right by the show and got to see that in action. So.
It's great. Honestly, I used to say this. I'll say it again. I think it's the best dollar for dollar entertainment value in San Diego sports. I think the Padres, when they're playing well and they have a great team, you can find a good value ticket that rivals that. But I think just generally, any time you go to Viejas Arena, you're going to experience an electric atmosphere. I think San Diego State, because we've got some San Diego State topics coming up, I want to make sure I'm very explicit in my praise. Like, I think they do an outstanding job with everything involving the basketball program. The court looks immaculate. The game presentation is elite. I mean, elite. The way they utilize the video board is outstanding. They've modernized that board multiple times. It looks great from a fan standpoint, extremely functional. Always know who has the fouls, always, able to very easily see even from a corner, which is where they have that auxiliary press, hard word, auxiliary press box. The way they utilize the dance team, the cheer squad, the show, the band, everything is 10 of 10, no notes. I think it's the best experience, just electricity, excitement that you can find in San Diego sports. Best coordination, best production. Everything is top of line at Viejas Arena.
And it's so intimate.
Yes.
Even you being at the top there, I mean, you're still part of the action. You still get to experience the whole environment, the atmosphere, the way that it's happening in real time. You still feel like you're really inside of it. And it's such a good, intimate atmosphere. I feel like a butt is coming from you.
No, there's no butt.
Okay, good.
There's
all
no
right,
butt at all. Aztecs basketball is elite.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
It is absolutely elite. It is great. I want to see that program be supported at the highest level possible by the administration, by the decisions that are made. Obviously, the fan base already backs them. Mesa Foundation gets good backing. I hate the nature of current college athletics where it's enjoy the product, also hands out. It's not like you get a free ticket and then they ask you for donations for the program. You pay top dollar, and then they're asking you for donations for the program.
Also, enjoy who's good. He might not be here next year, or she might not be here next year.
Completely. And trust me, I was thinking about that watching the game. But again, we'll talk about the players.
But that's the nature of it, right?
Yeah,
it's not like that's an SDSU thing. That's the nature of college sports right now.
So also, Viejas Arena, from a foot traffic standpoint, easy ingress, egress, well-designed, very open. I just think it's tremendous. I think it is a tremendous, elite fan viewing experience.
Yeah. Watching it on TV last night and seeing the Steve last year and toward the end of the season, and no matter where I sat, it was always a good time. There were a few that I sat in that auxiliary area. God, no, I'm going to do that.
It's a hard
word. But also I went with some friends and just as a fan, just to watch some games. And so wherever we were, it was always a good time. And yeah, you just feel like you're really in on the action, and I feel like the vibes are pretty good there in terms of just everyone knows what they need to do to show up in terms of the show and the alumni that are there, and just kind of you go in there with expectations. You go in there with the expectation of seeing a good game and having a good time because of the way they built that program. So I think it's absolutely a fun time. Hopefully people can get out to it this season. I believe Mike Schilt was there.
Hard to say.
Okay, I think I saw him in
He was there.
A backstage area, right, Braden?
I saw photographic evidence of him being
He was
there.
eating.
Outstanding.
Maybe
I thought of you, Braden, when I was
VIP
up there.
section.
And I was trying to people watch.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, I'm not obviously 100%, but I'm pretty sure I spotted Brian Quinn there because his silver shock of hair is pretty trademark, noteworthy. So I'm pretty sure I saw Quinny, coming across the line there from USD, sneaking into an SDSU Gonzaga game. But as I was looking down, trying to look courtside, and for example, as we were talking about yesterday, is Strasburg there? Is Buddy there? I thought to myself, I should have brought binoculars. Yeah. Braden was right.
That guy was making fun of me a second, yesterday.
I bring binoculars to the Padres games.
You got to. It's just
got to see
helps
who's
out.
warming up in the bullpen, and then sometimes you just need to kind of stalk around.
I use them all the time at soccer matches for the wave.
You just felt like, hey, do I really need it?
Yeah, I thought I'd look like a total nerd.
Right.
And I would.
And I don't know if you saw anyone else using binoculars.
Not even a human being.
Right.
So,
now, I will say, for the TV people, they kind of, if they have their cameraman there, they can have their cameraman zoom in on stuff. That's true.
But I would have invited the scorn of the guys above me, Jake Garriani and Ben. And Ben could have done it right here on this mic. Yeah. He could have then roasted me for being Mr. Audubon at an Aztecs game, taking out my binoculars and bird watching.
I think it's just good journalism. Don't you, Brayden? Just good reporting.
It is good. I mean, it's to a point now where every time I go to cover games, I got my binoculars, and then when I go as a fan, I go, where am I? Oh yeah, I didn't bring them because I'm a fan.
What if I had a monocular? What if
that would be probably, you would get made fun of for that.
A monocle?
Yeah, a monocle.
Well, a monocle, but one that's got the little telescope.
Like on you're on a pirate ship or something.
Yes, like I'm on a pirate.
I urge you to bring that and see what happens. Now, this I would say, if you are one of the TV media or our fellow media that's up there, that would be pure invitation to roast.
Normalize using a monocular.
It would also be kind of cool.
I'd like to normalize that. Just normalize using binoculars. Everyone's going to be doing it. Yeah. All the kids are going to be doing it.
I think you have to dress well to wear that.
That's true.
Like to pull that out,
Good
though.
point.
So
like really well.
Yeah.
Do I have to dress like Ryan Clark? Do I have to have like a two-piece?
No, that's too far.
Two different suits.
Yeah, look like
as one suit.
Look like Two-Face from Batman. Yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah.
You'd have to wear not tux, but a suit would be nice.
Yeah, with the vest.
In studio, this was off the air yesterday, but in studio I had
top
this
hat. Adam's on it.
Yeah, I had this real desire to see Annie see Ryan Clark on the whatever the ESPN show, NFL Live, on NFL Live, because he had a coat, a probably $3,000 coat or something.
I thought it was like a suit. It was just two different materials.
I don't know if it was two suits. We never saw below the blazer, right? So, I mean, for all I know, he's wearing sweatpants underneath. But
I don't know. You're right.
He had this suit coat that was one half like a lavender tartan almost, checker pattern.
It was a solid and a pattern.
And then one half just like straight navy blue.
Yeah.
And like at the jacket point, it was two different suits. It was like someone wearing their, like when the Nola family showed up with a half Phillies, half Padres jersey.
It was like that. But it's one jersey and it's half of each side.
Yeah.
It was like that. Now he was taking some fashion risks. I can't say he didn't pull it off because he never stood up. I didn't see the whole thing.
That's true.
Maybe there was a whole look to it.
Maybe the pant legs with one and one the other.
Maybe it balanced it out a little more.
Maybe.
It was a fashion risk. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I was unsure about it. But it is a thing nowadays. A solid with a pattern of the same, like either on your pants or on your top. Like it's like it's the same item of clothing or whatever. Anyways.
Like, how much would you guys give me to show up at an Aztecs game or a different press event? Like a complete, like, steampunky outfit, Adam's top hat, the jeweled chain.
Be rough, dude.
Back row rough. With the monocular. Just pulling out the binocular.
Did it all the time.
And then no, like, in character. Like, not... In no way recognizing the affect that I was putting on, just acting like this was a perfectly normal thing to be. And then just show up with the top hat and pull out the binocular and start looking about.
That'd be great.
I just want to know how much I'd get for it, because obviously I'd take a lot of heat. So what would I get in return?
People would be like, Halloween was 2 months ago.
I don't think you'd get anything.
Well, then I'm not doing it. That's that. See, I feel like you guys got to come stronger than that.
That needs to be like a bet or something.
Yeah, it's something. I mean, I'd have to get something in return.
I think that's a good bet in the future between Craig and Woods, because I think Woods would do something like that.
You have to play a double match of match game. A double
match of match game.
Yes, like a 2-segment match game.
It's just 4 more questions I have to write. No, I need something good for me, not something good for someone else.
So what would you make Woods wear? That's something.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if he could pull off the steampunk outfit. I don't think he could. I don't think I could either, by the way.
Well, that's the whole point.
Right. But
watching him do it at a game would be hilarious.
I think it would be very funny. Yeah. But the key is not to be like, hey, guys, I'm in costume. I lost a bet.
You have to act normal.
It's just like, hi, my name is Wimpy McHunterfirst, and this is just how I look, and...
No. Because everyone would know it was a bit. That's the thing. So it would be like...
Yeah, they would. But it would be funny. Just like, I don't know what you mean. Hi, guys. How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, good day today. Drop the kid off at swim.
To act like nothing's going on.
Yeah.
This is how I dress.
If you did it throughout like a normal day, I could see where it could be just pretty funny.
I don't understand. What are you talking about? I just went to work today. That's all.
Well, try it and see what happens.
No, and you guys didn't offer me anything. I feel like it's a terrible deal, but I think it was fun to talk about. And it got us to 10:15, which means we can take this time out and come back and talk about the game itself, because it was a heck of a game. Yeah. And I think it was a game that offered a lot of insight into the current Aztecs and also the roadmap to where the club has to go to get where they want to go, which is to drop another one of those voluminous banners that are hanging at Viejas Arena. It's legit pretty cool, to see it and to see the journey of the team and be like, oh, we won an NIT Final Four. And, oh, yeah, we were in the WCC something. Oh, well, now look at that, the WAC, we made the WAC. Now Mountain West champion. Now Sweet 16. Now, Final Four, national finalists. Like
championship game,
It's great to see that evolution and Kawhi's jersey, and so on and so forth. So it's a ton of fun to see that. Now, how can the Aztecs' current team help build upon that legacy? We'll talk about it with a game reaction to a 13-point loss to the number 3 team in the country last night at Viejas Arena. Vibes were immaculate. Game discussion next. Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 1022 on the Fan. Welcome back, everybody. Annie and Elsten here with you on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Annie Heilbrunn, Craig Elsten, Braden Suprenant with you. First segment, we talked about the vibes at Viejas Arena. Thanks to the station. It's part of the privilege of being on the air. Got the chance to get the media pass to go out to the game last night and to take it in for Gonzaga, San Diego State. Sold out game. I recognize the privilege of it. I want to give my respect to that. And so let's talk a little about the game itself. We talked about the vibes. Vibes are incredible. Love everything that the Aztecs basketball program stands for. Love its leadership. Love the production. Love all of it. It was exciting. And the biggest cheer, Annie, was for Miles Bird.
Yeah.
Last player announced for the Aztecs. He was out there to start. He played pretty regular minutes. I don't know if he played the full load he would have played, had he carried his fitness from the beginning of the season through that ankle sprain. But Bird was out there giving her a go. And it reminded me of the old thing. And I think we've talked about it on the show before, Annie. A trainer can get you back on the floor, whether it's the field, the court, the ice, whatever. A trainer can do magic to get you back out there. But to get back out there at the ability to be yourself and dominate, Bird didn't make a shot.
Right. Played 22 minutes, 0 for 5, right? 0 of 5 from the field. It just didn't seem like he was feeling the normal confidence that you would feel if you were fully healthy, right? And you were able to get out there. And it's good, when you feel like you've got a gamer in a guy and he wants to go out there and he wants to contribute, but he wasn't going to be the impactful player that they wanted him to be or that they hoped he could be last night, although props to him for wanting to be part of it. It was Boyd who ended up being leading.
He was great.
Yeah, he was great. Led the Aztecs with 23 points on 10 shots, grabbed 9 rebounds, drawed 9 fouls. BJ Davis as well. But to me, it was like, okay, like I mentioned, it was 40-31, I believe. Yeah, 40-31 at halftime. Didn't feel like it was ever fully out of reach, but also didn't ever feel like it was all that close.
Yes.
It, like you said, playing catch up. For the Aztecs, it looked like to me a team that if they have some more weeks playing together and you had the exact same scenario again where you had your top 2 guys not able to play really for the most part for Bird, I think that they would have had an even tighter game. I mean, now that's assuming Gonzaga stays where they are and doesn't improve as well, which they're probably going to improve as well. But
they will.
It just didn't, to me, it doesn't look like an Aztecs team that is out of it. It looks like an Aztec team that A, needs its top guys healthy, and B, just needs more time. It needs more polish. It was a little sloppy, a little like we talked about yesterday, growing together. But it wasn't like it was, you could see the potential is what I'm trying to say there.
Well, I agree. The biggest differentiator watching the game, just talking about the game without getting really into like our team, et cetera, was Ryan Nembhard, the senior point guard for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. He played, I think, all but 4 minutes of the game. Had the rock in his hands all the time. Had 10 assists. He could score. But the thing was, Annie, every time the Aztecs in the first half would make and in the second half as well. Anytime they would make a little bit of a push, hit a 3, get a stop, get another bucket, crowd starting to get buzzing, Nembhard would just take control, and he is so smooth. And the Bulldogs are so experienced. They've played with one another. They've got versatility. They had a massive post advantage in terms of their bigs, their forwards and centers over San Diego State on the night. It was evident from minute 1 to 40. And so they would run a smooth action, a little pick and pop at the top of the key. They swung the ball, but Nembhard always had the tempo of the game. And what I noticed really was every time there was even that flicker of a challenge, right away Gonzaga would get into a really efficient offensive set, and they would get themselves a terrific shot, usually a post player, a layup, or a little teardrop from 4 feet out, and that would just be like, quiet the crowd, settle everything down. Nope, we're in control. Tempo. Nembhard had it all the time.
He's good. I mean, and that's another advantage, right? You get guys who play together who are coming back. They had health on their side for sure. Ike, am I saying that right? Yeah.
Graham,
Graham, yeah.
Looks like I like Ike, but it's Ike.
Right.
Yeah.
he also was coming in, calling it essentially a personal rivalry, a revenge game. He had lost 5 previous games while at Wyoming to San Diego State. So, and then also last year at Gonzaga. So you had guys coming in that knew what environment they were coming into, knew what happened last year at the Kennel, and wanted to make sure that they had their presence known at Viejas Arena. And they did that. They controlled, like you said, they also controlled, for the free throws, right? 27 to 31 for Gonzaga.
But that's because they were inside.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that there's clear room for improvement for SDSU, and I don't doubt that there will be improvement. But Gonzaga also, I mean, that's a really good team over there.
No, they were, and when one of their fouls, because Rich in the chat is right. One of their bigs got 2 fouls. EK did right away.
Right away.
Boom,
Yep.
Bring another guy in, seamless. They've got bigs who can shoot threes. They can run the pick and roll. They can run the pick and pop. They do a lot of sideline action stuff to get corner threes. Gonzaga has an intricate, well-oiled offense with versatile players. They went about 9-10 deep. There was really no drop-off as they went through their bench. And they're a great team. There's a reason they're ranked 3rd. There's a reason they're a national championship contender. There's a reason they will be a national championship contender come March. It's because they've got the squad.
Starting next year. Is it next year that this
2 years.
starts? 2 years.
2
okay.
years. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're in the same conference.
Well, it does.
And they're going to
lead
get
me
a
to some
bigger,
thoughts.
and they're going
Yeah.
to get a bigger budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does lead me
TV.
to some thoughts.
Yeah, but going back to, even the crowd yesterday, you were talking about the vibes there. On TV, it felt like the crowd was great and loud, and they were doing what they always do, but they were also just waiting to kind of even explode a little bit more and close the gap a little bit more and kind of just waiting for that Aztecs moment.
Nick Boyd was really, really good. He's a transfer from Florida Atlantic, left-hander. He pushes the tempo. He's strong on the ball. He's very good at drawing fouls. He was doing that early in the game to help get Gonzaga into foul trouble. He can penetrate. He showed that ability to drive the hoop and score. So I'm really impressed with Boyd. I like the way he got the Aztecs into offensive sets. The Aztecs don't have a fulcrum upon which their offense can operate right now. They don't have an established post player like they did last year with Jaden Ledee that they could run everything through and let the shooters, get ready for kickouts and find themselves to open space. Most of any run that San Diego State did last night, Annie, was completely guard oriented. It was either B.J. Davis stepping into a 3 and hitting one, or it was Boyd, driving to the hoop or hitting a 3-pointer himself. McKinney early on had a couple of moments. He was missing his shots late, but really everything was guard oriented. There was very, very little that the Aztecs could do inside out or even just getting the ball into the paint. And that's where they've got to find something. Maybe it's Coleman Jones as the year goes along, developing a bigger post presence. Miles Heide right now looks to be a big that's trying to kind of camp out outside and not really get into the nitty gritty down low. But without a post presence, the Aztecs offense is going to struggle for patches all year. So I'm really curious to see how that develops.
And that's kind of going to be their mission over the next few weeks. I mean, you're going on to play tough teams still over the next few weeks, your next games, and you're going to have to learn from this and improve quickly. And I think that's kind of the challenge for them right now. And if you're Brian Dutcher, and I'm sure that's what is on his mind, is like, okay, turn the page, learn from what happened last night, and let's improve as quickly as possible while still staying as fundamentally sound and what they do best on defense. But you got to figure out those roles, and you got to do it too. When are the other two? Hopefully Bird is on the men. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Leaving the court yesterday, it seemed like he had cramps, or it sounded like he had cramps again. When will he essentially be back?
He'll probably be ready next week. I mean, he was able to go 20-something minutes. He looked rusty. Honestly, the second he came out, his head was a little down. I just didn't feel the mojo from him, like he was locked in.
I wouldn't. I would imagine not. When you don't feel 100%.
I think he suffered through. I think he suffered through that game. Better days ahead for him. Reese Waters will be back in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Better days ahead. In terms of leadership and maybe some wing creation for offense.
Because that does hurt. I mean, you're missing your two big guys.
Yeah, no doubt. But before we finish this segment, I got to talk about Magoon Guath.
Yeah, he's a beast too.
I mean, what an intriguing prospect. And I was chatting at halftime with Bryce Miller from the UT, and I'm like, here's a kid that has One, identifiable, demonstrative NBA skill. He can protect the rim. He can meet you at the top. And in a ridiculously low, like 15 minutes when all was said and done, Magoon Gwath had 5 blocked shots in the game. At one point, he had 4 blocks in 9 minutes. And the problem was he also had 3 fouls in 9 minutes. And he was the bottom of the order for the Aztecs in plus minus. Like they had the biggest minus with him on the court of any player because he's a freshman who's 7 foot, has absolutely no developed offensive game. He tried 1-3. A couple of times he was around the rim, no touch, ball clattered off, missed the rim. But boy, he can block shots. He can stop elite drivers. He can protect the rim. And if you see some development over the course of the next 30 games from Magoon Gwath, he's going to be a player that is going to consider putting himself up for the NBA draft and or putting himself up for the transfer portal and or the Aztecs have to work hard to keep the kid. Because that talent, that rim protection talent, that's NBA level. That's a guy who would average 2 blocks a game in the NBA. Problem is he'd foul out in 8 minutes right now. So, there's a lot of growth and development to come, but holy cow. And he's got the crowd behind him. Every one of those blocked shots, those are some of the biggest roars. Blocked by Gwath. My buddy on the PA was just going, leaning into it. It was a lot of fun. And the potential is there for Magoon Gwath. There's a lot of work to do, but the potential is there.
Yeah, he utilized his redshirt season last year. I see a few questions in the chat. But he is, that's essentially exactly what I was going to say. Like, he's got major potential. And I think that with the right development, which I do believe he's going to get at San Diego State, and he's going to get that kind of care and what Brian Dutcher and the rest of his staff knows is possible with him, I think that you're going to see someone emerge, in terms of being able to use the God-given attributes that he has with his size and his strength and his ability around the court, but also then just being able to get fundamentally sound and use it to his advantage. Like you don't see guys like him very often. So to me, that's a big, if they can get him to be a more polished version, like you've got a huge weapon with
big
what's waiting
raiser
for you right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Big ceiling raiser. The two things that I really see this team needing is some sort of inside presence offensively. Gwath can provide that presence defensively, but he's got to be able to stay on the floor. He's trying to meet every player at the top to block a shot right now. And so that leads to what? Fouls, leads to mistakes. It leads to getting yourself in the air and allowing someone to pass around you for a layup. Like all those things were happening around him last night. His 5th foul was one that he knew. Like he was over the back of the guy, but he's above him and he thinks he can make the play. Guy slithered under him, draws the contact. He sunk his head. He's like, ugh, I just took myself out of the game. But it's there's time for the year to develop for him to become something really special a year or two down the road.
And I was reading, Mark Ziegler wrote a feature on him, I believe this week or last week or a few weeks ago. It was recent.
One of those?
Yes. One of those options.
Month ago, year ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Some point in my life.
Year in the future.
But he barely played as a high school senior. He had a series of injuries. He didn't play at all last season after ankle surgery. So he's thrust into a program that also has a lot of expectations. He's going to have to learn quick, and he's going to have to kind of make those jumps. But you see where, like, okay, he hasn't had a ton of polish and prime, I think that's where you also are. You like the matchup of him with Brian Dutcher and his staff because they tend to be able to have the patient route with some of these guys and be able to develop them the way they need to be developed. Because you see the potential there. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of see his history and you realize, okay, he just needs more experience. He needs more development and experience, and he'll probably get there.
Looking forward to it. Obviously, Aztecs have a very difficult, we talked about it yesterday, non-conference schedule that next week really takes flight with this NIL tournament in Las Vegas. It's not just that they play tough teams. It's that they're going to go back-to-back, Creighton and Oregon. I believe it's next Tuesday, Wednesday, or next Wednesday. I think it's next Tuesday, Wednesday. And then they'll play, depending on how they do, 2-0, 1-1, 0-2. They'll play a team from the other side of the bracket. So they're going to get 3 games in a right hurry for a team that's, trying to develop. It's good and bad, right? Like it's good because you're going to get a lot of development quickly. The bad is if you're not on it, you could be eating losses through the week, and then you put yourself in a hole, something like a 3-3 or a 2-4, which is not going to be great for Coach Dutcher going into conference. Nonetheless, I do like the bones of what I saw. And Boyd's going to be a really solid leader for them on the court all year. So, I like what I see. Losing to Gonzaga, just about everybody, except for maybe 2 clubs, are going to lose to Gonzaga this year. I promise you. That's a great team. That's a great team over there. Okay, but when we come back, it did get me thinking, watching Gonzaga and San Diego State and what should be the premier college basketball matchup of the Pac-12 for the second half of this decade and for years to come. What would the Aztec program look like if all the resources, if all the juice went to Viejas Arena, went to the to the men's basketball, women's basketball programs? What if basketball was number 1 at the expense of football? Would it really be so bad? I just want to think about it. I know what the reality is. We'll accept that, but we'll talk about it when we come back. Andy and Elsten, San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:44 on the Fan. All right, as we get into this, Annie and Elsten with you on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I want to recognize the reality of the moment. San Diego State's athletic department is one of 4 that left the Mountain West Conference to help vanguard the new Pac-12. They were critical movers and shakers in that conference realignment, and in doing so, you do so with the understanding that football is the driver of primary money for a new conference, for an established conference. So the idea that the San Diego State Aztecs could turn away from their football program, I recognize at the top of a discussion about it that it's an impossibility. It's a practical impossibility today in 2024 and for years to come, in all likelihood. It's a practical impossibility. Aztecs have no choice. Whether they wanted to make a choice or not, they have no choice. But as Gonzaga comes into the Pac-12, a team with no football program, a team that can devote all of its name, image, and likeness resources, all of its conference resources to its basketball program, that has its own plane that it flew on last night, to get out of San Diego.
Must be nice.
Must be nice.
They have that investment.
Their women's team gets to use the plane too. It's great.
Must be nice that
Good.
They have a great program with an impeccable tradition, a great following. They get to resource it to the hilt. And as such, they've been able to be a national level, championship level contender for years on years, playing in the West Coast Conference, the same conference that our beloved Toreros are playing in. No one is conspiring to think that USD is in a permanent championship scenario. Gonzaga is in a permanent championship scenario. And one of the biggest things that they have as a feather in their cap is that they are not devoting the lion's share of their program's resources to trying to fund a football program through what is a modern, speaking of impossibilities, a modern impossibility to try and compete with Ohio State's $23 million player payroll. SEC teams able to spend $1 million on a player to sit on the bench and not even play. TV contracts that are built entirely around the Power 4 programs. And the Group of 5 conferences are left to fight for the scraps. The fact that Gonzaga doesn't have to resource a football program gives them, a year after year edge on San Diego State going forward. When these two programs go head to head, the thing that will be the separator year after year is going to be that more money goes to the football program because you have to, because you're stuck with it. And it just left me wondering, Annie, how much is that football program really helping San Diego State in the end?
That's going to be the question that they're going to grapple with for years to come. I mean, the thing about the football program is if you want to stay competitive or try to stay competitive, you have to invest money into it. There's going to be no way around that. So if it's part of your school and you've accepted that it's part of your programming and you're not giving it up, you're going to have to do your best to invest money and to build it. When I think of San Diego State, and I wonder if you guys would agree, when most people think of San Diego State and they think of sports, they think of basketball. In my opinion, they think of the basketball team. Should SDSU lean into that at some point? Will the nature of college athletics force them to lean into that at some point? And what year is that? Like you said, that they're kind of in the bed that they've made now. How possible is that, or how likely is that even? And I certainly don't want to pretend that us three in this room know what they are grappling with in those rooms and those meetings over there. I mean, They're having to figure out a lot more than the three of us can talk about. I'm sure this is a huge topic that I'm sure that they're having to wrestle with on a daily basis and try to have big meetings and understandings of what their options are here. But to me now, you kind of got to go for it, right? Like you've got to invest your money into that football program and try to grow it as best as you can, because that's kind of the bed you made over there. Should they invest into their basketball program more? I think so, but what do I know on this side of the mic? And I'm guessing Braden would have some opinions on this as well.
Well, would they be in the Pac-12 if they didn't have a football team?
They wouldn't have been able to lead the charge.
They wouldn't have been able. They wouldn't be in the Pac-12. They'd be in the Big West, like all the other Big West schools, right? Like Gonzaga's an anomaly because they had done. It has taken them 20 years. I mean, how long has Mark Few been there?
Yeah,
I mean,
forever.
that's basically how long it has taken Gonzaga to get to the point that they're at right now, and they just never had football, so they could go after it. I mean, it's the same thing like all the Big West schools. If the Big West schools wanted to, they could achieve what Gonzaga is doing. It's a lot easier to do in men's basketball than it is to do in any other sport. Like UCSD. Like UCSD could totally do what Gonzaga is doing because they already don't have football and they could build it up. But it is taking them years upon years upon years upon years to build what they have had without football. Now the Aztecs, even though basketball has kind of taken over as their top sport, I mean, they've always had football too to entice people to go to games. I mean, it's the same thing. I've said this multiple times with TCU. It's the Flutie effect, right? Being able to watch them on a national stage in football, it starts to rise all the other athletic departments and all the athletic facilities at San Diego State because of how good the football team may have been in the past or at certain times. It definitely helps you out for all the other programs. I saw it with TCU, with their football program. I mean, their basketball team was awful, and they have now risen to a high level because of everything that the football team has done. Same thing with baseball over there and a lot of the other sports.
Okay, but Big 12 versus
But they were not a big
resources.
they just got into it, but they forced their way into the Big 12 with what? Was it football or basketball? It was football.
It was football.
Right? I mean, look at TCU was a Conference USA school. They were a Mountain West school with San Diego State. They were in the WAC. I mean, they were in like Southwest. After the Southwest Conference left them behind when they formed the Big 12, they were like a bottom feeder school bouncing around, and the thing that got them out of it was football. So even though basketball could be the ideal like main focus sport for the Aztecs, what's going to get them out of the purgatory of being a Group of 5 school will never be basketball. It will always be football. Gonzaga, it has taken them 20-plus years and multiple trips to the Final Four to be able to do what they have been able to do, and they have reaped the benefits of making their own money. And here's the biggest thing of why they're going to be even better is because a bunch of schools, in an unintelligent way, decided to invite them to a new conference that without football and giving them a full share that involves football. So Gonzaga is just only going to be better with whatever type of money they make in a TV deal compared to what they get for the West Coast Conference. San Diego State and Boise State and Colorado State and Washington State and Oregon State, they have all signed up for Gonzaga to be even better in college basketball.
Well, I agree with that. Now, everything you're saying, I totally vibe with. And we've talked in the past about how there's a short-term window where if the Aztecs really did experience a lot of success in football, then they'd have that opportunity to move up. I just want to share the reality of someone who's lived here since 1990. I have seen the Aztecs play top teams. I have seen them have Heisman Trophy, level players like Marshall Faulk, like Dan McGuire. I have seen them win 10 and 11 games.
Yeah,
I've seen them lose 10 and 11 games. Yeah. I've seen the highs and lows of the Aztecs football program since 1990.
And they have had highs.
They have.
For sure.
And it's never once been the heartbeat of San Diego. Not ever once. Not when Darnay Scott and Marshall Faulk were there. Not during the Rocky Long years. Perennial Mountain West champions, winning 9-10 games a year, going to bowl games year after year after year. The Potato Bowl, the Armed Forces Bowl, the Potato Bowl again. Oh, 1 year Las Vegas. Back to Albuquerque. There's always been a ceiling on the interest and the passion for San Diego State football. And I am not convinced over my decades of being here that for this university the juice is necessarily worth the squeeze. I imagine a universe where they get in after 6-8 years in the Pac-12, and where you know what I mean, Braden, where you're in too deep, where like you're already a conference member, and then you're like, hey, listen, we're going to just go ahead and sell Snapdragon Stadium to the MLS club, let them deal with it. We're going to develop San Diego State West.
Hang on a second. Do you honestly think any business entity would sell a building as valuable as Snapdragon to any other entity?
Probably not, but maybe for a ton of money.
I mean, real estate wise, that would be the dumbest business decision of your life. If you sold
you could just rent
that
it.
pile of real estate, why would you ever sell that?
Yeah,
and then have
could.
concerts there still and everything.
I mean, are you going to sell your house in Coronado when you can just rent it? I mean, why?
Oh, I wish I had a house in
Come
Coronado.
on.
I wish I had stadium in Mission
We
Valley.
can you can rent it. They will never sell that thing that they paid for.
What if you got $1 zillion?
No. It's not how real estate works, my guy.
Is a zillion a real word? No. I mean, a zillion's a lot of money.
The stadium's going to show up on
It's
Zillow.
like more than
That's
a
right.
quadrillion.
It's for sale on Zillow. What's the Zillow estimate of Snapdragon Stadium? We'll tell you next.
All right. Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fans, presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com. Get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. It's hour number 2 of Annie and Elsten. Welcome back, everybody. Annie Heilbrun's here. I'm Craig Elsten. Braden Soprenet alongside an all-college sports first hour of the show. We are going to talk baseball through not necessarily the entire hour, because Tom Krasovic will be joining us from the San Diego Union Tribune at the bottom of the hour.
Zillow estimate.
Yeah, for
Gazillion.
Snapdragon, 1 gazillion.
Appraised by Craig Elsten.
Yeah, put it
There you
up.
go.
Put it up for Snappy.
Most Zillow estimates are fake anyway. Just ask any real estate agent.
Just send it direct to Mohammed Mansour.
That's right.
And say, would you like to buy this for $1 gazillion?
$1 gazillion.
All of your money.
It's a lot of money. I think that would fund the Aztecs programs for years and years to come.
And they'd be competitive. They'd be more competitive against Gonzaga, maybe.
They could have their own plane.
Yeah, I think they would definitely have their own plane. They might have 2.
Don't they have one?
Might have 2 planes.
I thought
Well,
the
they
Aztecs
rent a
have
charter.
one.
I don't think they own one. They rent
it's
one.
Charter.
I thought they owned one of those private jets.
Do they?
Yeah, they just don't take it everywhere because they barely fit in it. It's got an Aztec logo on the tail. They don't fit the football team on there, but it's a small jet.
Well, to be known. I don't know that. But that could be true. Nonetheless, that was a fun hour of programming. Hope you enjoyed it. You can always go back and find everything on the Odyssey app. And again, we do have Kraz coming up. Let's switch our attention a little bit to baseball in this hour. We haven't talked yet about the thing that we all probably knew.
We went a whole hour without even mentioning it.
I mean, what are you going to say?
It's not worth mentioning.
Well,
We're number 2.
As Craig says all the time, awards are dumb. Why pay attention to
I
it?
think we have to reframe the number 2, okay, and say, like, in the number 2, because I was one last week too that was like, okay, second team, what is that, all that jazz? But
Number 2 in baseball, but number 1 in your hearts.
I think you got to look at it like they're the top 6 outfielders in all of baseball. Maybe not the top 3, but they're the top 6, right? He's the top. In the top 2 rookies in all of baseball.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
maybe it's not so much number 2 as he's in the top 2. The Padres are in the top 2, 3, 4 in all of baseball.
No, this is our legacy. Over the years from now, 2037, we're going to look back and fondly remember the 2024 Padres as the second best team in baseball. And that's going to be the legacy of the team. We were second in the NL West, second to the Dodgers. After LA won, everyone could say, well, the Padres, they were the toughest team. Everyone else was a step below. The Yankees, the Mets, the Orioles, everyone else a step below the San Diego Padres. All MLB, second team. 4 guys on the second team. Second place, Jackson Merrill, Rookie of the Year. And today, second place, Mike Schilt, Manager of the Year. He'll inevitably finish second.
We don't know that. We don't know that. He could win this one.
He'll finish second.
I was
Pat
surprised.
Murphy.
So Paul Skeens wins Rookie of the Year for the National League. I was surprised at the variation in the first place votes. I thought it would have been closer.
Yeah.
And it turned out that Jackson Merrill got 7 of the 30, and Paul Skeens got 23, which, again, I thought it would have been closer. I saw some writers, reporters, whatever, defending earnestly on social media yesterday why Jackson Merrill should have been the person and making the arguments that we've made for the last month. I mean, he is absolutely deserving of this honor. And then I saw some people who even voted for Paul Skeens who was like, it wasn't even close, to which I would say, how, if you voted for Paul Skeens, how is it not close? Like, how in the world did you do your due diligence if you looked at this and said to yourself, it's not close? Like,
that's
it
the answer right
been,
there. They didn't.
It should have been a difficult decision for most people. And can I just say, too, watching that show yesterday, I turned on MLB Network for that. Paul Skeens looked so uncomfortable. I honestly, at that point, I'd rather watch Livy Dunn. Like, he just looks so uncomfortable, and Livy's there smiling, and he just was answering like these like one-word answers, and he just looked like it wasn't feeling it at all. It was a weird thing, all of it.
I felt this, and I articulated this on the show back in the second half of the baseball season. This is the baseball writers' version of FOMO. It's fear of missing out on a Hall of Famer where you didn't give him your vote. It's a fear of not voting for Ken Griffey Jr. for Rookie of the Year. You know what I mean? And then looking back and going, oh, holy cow, I was one of the guys that didn't.
It's the fear of receipts now.
Right.
Because it does get posted, and I have the page up right now where you can see who voted for whom. The two San Diego writers that were part of this vote, John Maffei and Jeff Sanders, both voted for Merrill. And then there's a scattering that come from all over the place. But you can see exactly, who voted for whom. And so that kind of does, lend to your name is on it forever. And I guess you don't want to feel like you're missing out. But at the same time, then what are we doing?
Exactly.
It's not a good system then.
Exactly. They're so worried about potentially getting receipted later on in life, even though it doesn't even matter. And so to me, it was like, well, who do we think is going to be a Hall of Famer out of these three players? And that's how it looked like they voted. It's like, well, I know what Paul Skeens did this year, but he's really got to be a lot better than Jackson Merrill, and I got to make sure I vote for him so I don't look like an idiot. 25 years from now, when some stupid high school kid goes, why did this guy vote for Jackson Merrill instead of Paul Skeens? I mean, the whole thing is a sham. Awards are shams. The whole pomp and circumstance of this BS that Major League Baseball continues to peddle I don't know why people pay attention to this, especially if you're a San Diego fan. Remember, Jay Cronenworth didn't win the Rookie of the Year either to a relief pitcher in Devin Williams. I mean, it doesn't matter which way you decide to cut the cloth on the vote. Everybody's got their own personal biases involved, and I'm tired of writers being the elitists that get to pick everything when the reality is they're so ingrained in this system that it comes up biased all the time. I mean, Jackson Merrill won the Players one. All the players who play the game, that know the game, that understand what it takes to do what Jackson Merrill does, they picked him over Paul Skeens. The writers that stay up in their elitist booths, no, we're going to go with Paul Skeens.
Jeez Louise.
They're elitist
I don't know about all that necessarily, but I don't necessarily even disagree that Paul Skeens does deserve the award.
He's good.
He is good, and I can't.
He completely deserves.
He does
the
deserve the award. Exactly. It's just more, I think, some of the arguments for it that you heard, and some of them were very rational and very thoughtful, and I do feel like they thought them out. I mean, Dan Zambrowski from Fangraphs has a whole article breaking down why he chose Jackson Merrill, and also why the argument was good for Paul Skeens, and then he answers fans who said, what about this, what about this? And I don't think every writer has to do that, defend their vote. However, when you do see some writers that are like, well, he was a number one pick, and well, it wasn't even close. It's like, what were you watching? It should have been close.
It's the same people that vote in the AP Top 25.
Yeah, but not everyone gives the level that Dan Szymborski gave. And I've got his article up. I mean, he really, really went through it. He thought through every angle, and in the end, he came to the decision that Jackson Merrill had the best year. This is why I don't care. All right, why I do
Jackson
care.
Merrill doesn't care either.
For the only reason that I care at all.
Paul Skeens probably doesn't even care.
Yeah, the only reason I care at all is that the writers could have sent baseball itself a message and the Pirates a message by voting for Merrill, giving the Padres a first-round draft pick, and reminding the Pirates that you should promote your rookies at the start of the season as opposed to manipulating their service time.
But now he gets a full year of service time, Paul Skeens, because he won the award.
Well, so, there you go. So they solved Paul Skeens' individual issue. Congratulations to Paul Skeens. However, what they didn't solve was the fact that the Pirates tried to manipulate the situation. By the contrast, the Padres did the platonic MLB ideal. They promoted their rookie aggressively, gave him an opening day opportunity. They took a risk where other teams were being careful. They threw caution to the wind when it came to Merrill's future value in order to maximize the team's present day value. That's outstanding. That's what baseball wants. However, the Padres will not get the reward, but I'm very, very used to it because we're team number 2. Here's why I don't care. Jackson Merrill will show up in Peoria in February. He's ours. It doesn't matter. He's ours. Whether he was first, second, third, 50th, 5,000th, he's our player, and he's coming back to our team, and that's all that really matters is we've got this great player for years to come.
To me, too, look, he was an all-star this year. He was a Silver Slugger. He was up for Rookie of the Year.
He was not a Silver Slugger. Jurickson Profar was a Silver Slugger.
Jackson Merrill wasn't?
No, it was Profar and Machado and Cease and King. Merrill was not. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure.
Are you confusing the All-Pro and the Silver Slugger?
That's what I might be confusing the Silver Slugger.
You just named all
Oh, no, you're right. He was a Silver Slugger. He wasn't the second team All-MLB.
Right.
That's what he was.
But
I got the two mixed up.
I was like, wow, we had two pitchers win a Silver Slugger.
My bad.
But my only point with that anyways is like, if Jackson Merrill ends up being who we all think he's going to be, or at least close to it, he's going to have so many awards in his future. He's going to have so many other All-Star games.
Right.
He's going to, and I even think to myself sometimes, like, I was like thinking last night, okay, well, this is motivation for him. The dude doesn't need motivation. He has his own internal motivation that is so much higher than any of these awards. Now, will he use it? Will he put a little chip on his shoulder if he needs to? Sure. But he's someone that he runs on internal motivation regardless, and that's the kind of player you want. So I think that you're looking at, for Jackson Merrill, someone who's going to have, or should have, the potential to have a really good career and a lot of accolades in his future regardless.
That's why linking a draft pick to this is dumb.
Because, right, it's a baseball writer's decision anyway.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah.
There's no, unless it's a thing picked on by the players and like the organizations that have a thing on it, there's no reason to attach a draft pick to a subjective deal. And again, these writers that pick, they don't know what they're picking until it's at the end of the year. I mean, there could be a lot of writers that were in charge of picking other awards that wanted Jackson Merrill over Paul Skeens, but this selection picked Paul Skeens. The whole system is just ridiculous.
And a lot of these writers, you're doing it at the end of the season. They're not even all writers. There's like TV. There's different things in here.
I don't think broadcasters are allowed to do it.
Okay, well then it's
because I've heard them
speak of WAA.
Okay, so maybe they're writing for one's part of Marquee Sports Network. He voted for Merrill, but he must write then also. But anyways, CBS Sports, yeah. So. But what is also, I think, difficult about it is you're at the end of the season and you are not only like zonked. I mean, you know what I mean? The end of the season is a beast in itself. But for a lot of these teams, you're covering a team that is maybe going to the playoffs. That is, I do think that the writers are trying to do their best in terms of being up to date, but you're obviously not watching every game. You're looking at stats. You're trying to read and research as much as possible, and your mileage may vary on that. You've got players or writers here who probably do very good homework, and then you've got ones that probably take it a little less seriously.
Just like the AP poll.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Annie, when you visit the press box, is there a line of demarcation between where the proletariat, the television folks, the radio folks go, and the elitist booth?
They're all elitists.
Where the
all writers are elitists.
No.
All elitists.
I consider myself still a writer. I am not. We are not all elitists.
Oh, so you're an elitist too.
All right.
You're an elitist too, Andy. You're part of the club.
You're
the
in
Writers
the
Elitist Club.
We are all mixed together.
And your high
writers,
box
by the way, are the least
at the
paid,
top with the free hot dogs
most with less these
and
days.
the free soda. Elitists.
Completely under-resourced, asked to do more.
Your fancy badges.
Oh, your fancy badges.
And your press box seats actually have your name
free
built in on.
You have.
That's
elitist.
Right.
You elitist writers.
Oh,
always want to crap on the Padres, you elitist writers.
You're assuming that the radio people and TV people don't go get the free ice cream or the
You know what they should, because they're not part of the elitist group.
They definitely do. I will alert you to that.
Us radio people have to fend for ourselves. You elitist writers.
You're elitist.
That's right.
With your popcorn and your ice cream.
I honestly think that for a lot of these writers, they are just under-resourced and overworked.
Hey, you know what? The San Diego writers voted for Jackson Merrill, not as elitist as the national writers. They know ball. That's right. John Maffey, ball knower.
Alex Pavlovic from the NBC Sports Bay Area voted for Merrill.
Course,
Dan Connolly
Giants
at
guy.
Large voted for Merrill. I think it was Japanese. Hiroyuki Minagishi.
Okay.
Sounds good.
He voted for Merrill.
Man of the people. I heard.
Yes. Andy Martinez of Marquee Sports
Complete
Network.
man of the people. Puts his pants on one leg at a time.
Yeah.
Not
That's
like
right.
those elitists who just levitate into
That's
their
right.
pants, both legs at once.
Especially the ones that say that Cal was drafted first overall, so therefore
Dan Zambrowski's.
made an impact.
Was he not? Why don't I see him in here?
Dan Szymborski?
Why do I want to say Zambrowski?
Because it sounds
Zamborski.
better.
There we go.
Dan
Sorry,
Szymborski.
Dan. I'm sorry. Jackson Merrill, yeah. So
Padres' longest drought of not having a rookie of the year. What weird how that happens.
Benito Santiago,
Yep.
1987.
Jay Cronenworth got host.
He did get host.
He got host.
Merrill did not get host. He finished second to
a very good
an elite player
Yeah.
having an
He got
elite
elite
season.
player.
It's not like they gave it to some fry cook over there. Or
I
some
understand
guy.
they'll
I mean,
change
he was very good, but to sit there and say that a shortened experience at the rookie level is better when everybody always talks about how many games you play. It's just I'm just tired of everybody changing their narratives for certain agendas that they want to accomplish. That's why awards are stupid.
Awards are stupid, and
They
no
are
one should
very
award.
And nobody
Subjective.
should ever watch the award shows. Annie
don't.
has to watch the eye wash. She cannot not watch
It
the
is
eye
actually
wash.
a
I
hilarious
It is
part
what
of your
fuels-
personality. It really is.
It is what
I turned
fuels
it on
Annie.
and turned it off. I wanted to see Jackson Merrill. He looked like he was at the stadium, right? I actually didn't get to see his interview.
Some of us survive on like oxygen and water, and Annie survives on
An
eye wash
that
television.
I don't actually like.
Yes.
Okay. It's
like
more of
the Jake Paul fight, like all the
Yeah.
award shows on
Yeah.
MLB.
Yeah.
It's more of a
She made us
masochistic
rewatch
thing.
the World Series
Oh my
after
God!
the fact.
Over and over. Like
We
we've
had to
seen
watch
those
the
games.
parade in here, the Dodgers parade, because she is the queen
Still
of eye
scarred.
wash.
I
It
did
fuels
want
her
to
to
see
live.
what the parade looked like.
Like an
Yes.
eye wash vampire. Like you gain energy.
And the best part is every
from the
time
eye wash.
Annie
I wanted
makes
to
us
see
watch
what-
this
how
crap.
they did it in LA.
Every time she makes us watch this crap, she goes like, "This is so dumb. This is so dumb.
bad.
This is so bad. I hate this.
A lot
I
of
hate
it's
this.
cheesy.
I can't turn it off, but I hate this."
Nate says the boat show under deck.
Yes,
below
I
deck,
watch.
Below
Nate.
deck.
And no, there are real problems and relationships on there that
There are
need
real
mending.
problems.
Okay.
Oh my god. Real
And I
world
don't think
issues.
that Mike Tyson
on
talking about
Below
legacy
Deck.
was eye wash. I thought Mike Tyson gave very deep thoughts to that 14-year-old.
Every show that's on in here is either the nice little calming, soothing fireplace
Yes.
of
Yes,
YouTube,
I do
Put on
love
the
the fireplace.
fireplace, right?
think about the most eye wash show that might possibly air. Annie knows what channel it's on and what time it starts.
That's right.
And that TV better be on
Let's
it,
go.
or there's gonna be hell to pay.
I say,
And the whole time she bitches about it the whole time. It's the funniest
Oh my
thing.
God.
I can't believe people watch this. Really? Surprised? Are you surprised?
I mean, it gives you a lot of cringe moments.
Let me
you know?
guess. You'll tune into the managerial award show tonight.
Yeah, should we do a segment on that?
I actually am my nephew's birthday. What time is that at? 3? No,
3.
I will
She's
miss
gonna
that
she's
because
gonna
of
try
my
to
nephew's
she's gonna make her
birthday.
nephew watch it on his
So
birthday.
I won't be. I will now try to catch the highlights of an interview. Although I honestly missed Jackson Merrill's interview, and then I thought to
They do it
myself
from the
too.
dugout?
Hey, do you think they know ahead of time? Like they've got like they're all there. So do you think that the winner knows ahead of time?
I think so. 100%.
I think so too.
Absolutely.
I think so too.
I think they do.
Yeah.
That's why they get invited.
I think that
I
everyone
think the
gets
team
a call.
knows. I think they embargo it
Yeah.
and just say, act surprised.
I think all the finalists get a call,
Skeens did not do.
right? And then I think the winner gets a second call.
Adam Klug says, I don't think they know. I think they might.
I think they do. I think it's in this day and age of them control. I mean,
like
think
we
about
know who makes the All-Star game. That gets embargoed before.
there's
you
so
know,
many things
before
that in order to plan. I mean, they all know this.
The only thing that made me pause about it is didn't they have all 3 of the finalists on live?
They did.
Yeah, but
So
I
that
think
made me think
they
maybe
make
they
you
don't
do it. But
know.
did you see all 3 of their faces? They're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
That just proves that again, you shouldn't watch the award shows because the only people arguing about it are us. They don't even care.
They don't.
They don't care.
Paul had a good night. I'm sure Paul had a great night.
Well,
last
and I
night.
mean, look, Nate Taylor says, I think Skeens knew with that setup. No, Skeens did say, we've got a party here ready to go. Like, they were like, what are you going to do now? He's like, yeah, we've got some people over for the party. You know, so I do think that he maybe, or unless they just had hey, you're a finalist
Maybe it was
no matter
going to
what.
be a really sad party.
Right. Or I don't care party, whatever. Let's
There's
party.
too much PR and like social media and like everybody's got their own handlers. They would never let Paul Skeens dress up like that, be on TV, and then lose. Same thing with like Merrill and stuff. Like Merrill's in the dugout, right? Like they're not going to set these guys up for failure on TV. It'd be embarrassing.
I tend to agree with that.
They
I
would
tend to
never
think
let that
and the
happen in this day and age.
club knows and,
It's like the
so-
guys at the draft, right? They're like, these guys better be first round picks. We're gonna have a serious problem because they don't want to like ruin
They're
their
like, Paul, how
legacy.
do you feel? He's like, cool.
Yeah, this is sick. I guess.
And Livy's like sitting there smiling. She's like, woo! Like she knew what to do at that moment. She acted the part, and then she goes in like to give him a kiss, but he gives her a hug, like the whole thing. I'm like, oh, what are we doing?
All right, we got to
And
take
he
a
was
quick
thriving
break.
on the eye wash
It
last
was.
night, thriving off of it. No wonder she had such a smile on her face today.
That's fully recharged.
Yeah,
Where do you
recharged
think
battery.
Mike Schultz is going to be tonight.
What do I think? What?
Where do you think he will be?
Well, he was at the Aztec game last night.
Right. No, do you think that he'll be in his office at
Yeah,
Petco Park?
he'll be,
Will he
or
at
the
his
dugout
house?
or something like
yeah,
that.
so do I. I don't think he'll be at I think it'll be at the stadium.
Yeah. They also asked, hey, should we throw a party? And I was like, we've got a satellite link that we'd like to offer you if you'd like to join us via satellite.
He has a chance of winning, I think. Who do you think it's going to go to?
Pat Murphy.
Yeah, they're going to give the Brewers every award.
Yes. Brewers have to get it all.
That's right.
The only thing that
NL Central's got to get it all, apparently.
The only thing I was surprised about yesterday is that Churio didn't finish second. Just out of then we could really all get mad. You know?
That would have been.
Then it would, yeah.
I mean, the numbers don't support that at all.
No, but
they're close, but
it's hard to watch. It's hard to stay up if you're on the East Coast. It's hard to stay up and watch those games.
Yeah.
A lot easier to watch the Bruja. A lot easier to watch them Bruja.
It's true.
All right, we'll be right back. And Tom Krasovic at the bottom of the hour, right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed on 97.3 The Fan, so while you're listening, you can see what you missed and click to listen on demand. If you missed a guest, a feature, or something crazy that happened from earlier, we got you covered. Download the free Odyssey app, search 97.3 The Fan, and tap Earlier Today to get started. Annie and Elsten back with you. This will be a shorter segment. We've got Tom Krasovic coming up in our next segment for the final portion of the hour to chat through more Padres stuff, college, everything else. He always writes about the team up the road, the football team. Can we avoid talking to him about the Chargers?
I want to know about the terrible environment they have up there that Annie was talking about.
Yeah, the
laid back games. Nobody cares.
Right. 7-3 record. Look, I got to give it to them. They are en route, right, to something, maybe a playoff spot.
Well, here comes all the bandwagoner fans coming back out. All the San Diego Charger fans coming out of the woodwork, including Boltman, who was at the game for the first time in a long time.
Boy.
He's back.
I saw.
Wow.
I saw.
Well, look, we just covered it. Now we don't have to talk to town about
so
it. That's great.
People in the parking lot playing the San Diego Supercharger song and dancing.
It's a long season.
I mean, the level of delusion is just insane to me with
next
Charger
few years,
fans.
Yeah.
It's all going to come crashing down.
There's so much parity in the NFL between who they've played as well that it's to me it's a little difficult to even assess the state of the NFL right now in terms of except for like the Lions and
what's their best win last Sunday?
Listen, I'm not going to diminish it. Yeah, I think it was Sunday.
I mean, you are what your record says you are, but at the same time, I mean, you go through their schedule and it's just like, okay.
Listen, I never
talk to me when you play Kansas City.
Yeah,
they got Baltimore coming up.
They've got Baltimore this week. They could beat them, and then who knows? I never doubted that Jim Harbaugh, a coach that I find very distasteful for his showy fakeness, would improve the Chargers. He's a really, really, really good football coach. Every single team he's ever coached has succeeded.
Yeah.
And especially the first year.
He's the king of eyewash.
His act wears thin. And he would love his press conferences every day.
Covering eyewash is not my specialty. I like to see it from afar.
You like to view it from afar?
I don't
so you love the fact that he wears
enjoy.
cleats and he has receiver gloves to warm up his quarterback at 60 years old? Eyewash.
Yeah. This is the rub, though, that we have heard about him is when does it get tired? When does and maybe he is assessing that about himself. I don't know. Maybe he's changing some things, but that is what you've heard about him reputation-wise. It's like year 2, year 3, year 4. Does it get tired at some point?
Right now, it's great. It's a great change of energy for those guys that have had to deal with Staley for Staley for last 3 or 4 years.
Are we getting the? Did you say Baltimore? So is it the brothers?
Yeah, it'll be Harbaugh and Harbaugh. Yeah,
it'll be the Ravens at the Chargers on Monday Night Football.
Oh my God, is that all right? That's going to be.
Here's their last 7 games. Like you're about to find out if they're good or not. They got the Ravens. Then they got the Falcons on the road. Falcons struggled in their last game, but the Falcons are still, one of the better teams in the NFC South. Then they got the Chiefs on the road.
Last game notwithstanding.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They just had to shoot themselves in the foot. Chiefs on the road. Then they got the Bucks at home. Don't really know what you're going to get out of the Bucks. Yeah. They got a Broncos team that's been playing a lot better.
Yeah.
Who did they already beat? Who the Chargers beat earlier in the year. Then they got the Patriots, who are awful. And they finished with the Raiders. But those 5 games before that, it's still a pretty, soft schedule for the most part.
Well, you know what you're telling me. I mean, those last 2 weeks are almost automatic wins. So you're telling me that at the minimum, the Chargers are going to win 9 games.
Did the Chargers
be in it? But they have a good chance to win 11 or 12 games this year. And I think realistically, they're going to win 11 or 12 games this year. Again, year 1 Harbaugh is probably one of the safest bets in all of sports, that he is going to come in and fundamentally improve the win-loss record of whatever team he coaches. It's just... I mean, literally for me, I only care about the Chargers if they make the AFC Championship game, at which point I will root against them because I don't want to see them in the Super Bowl. But that's it. I mean, short of that, I don't care. Win 11, 12 games, whatever. Good year, who cares?
They're playing a last place schedule.
Yeah, well, right.
That happens all the time. Yeah. I mean, that's not like a crazy thing.
They are doing
that.
They
have a good quarterback. They got a good coach. They're playing a last place schedule. They're going to win games.
They've also got 2 rookies at cornerback. 5th-round draft picks. They've lost most of their weaponry. They had to deal with a lot of salary cap stuff. I recognize that the Chargers winning this year is impressive in some form, and cool, great, good for them. Harbaugh's good. Doesn't mean I have to root for them or pay attention to them, but I can respect what they've done.
No. And I think about just, again, what it would be like if they were here sometimes, and the passion and the emotion from fans, and just from what people tell me who go up and watch games, and they admit, like, look, I go with my dad still. I go with my brother still. We go and we watch games at SoFi, as the environment is just not the same. It's a different environment, a more laid back environment. The buy-in is just not quite there, as we know and as we've heard from multiple people in Los Angeles. So you just think about if they did make the playoffs, how electric that would have been in San Diego.
It would have been electric here, and it's not going to be electric up there because it's very corporate up there, just like it's very corporate in a lot of places throughout the NFL that have those stadiums.
Yeah.
When I go to Dallas, I've been to multiple Dallas Cowboy games. Boring atmosphere. I mean, the stadium's cool, but it's quiet the whole time.
Yeah.
And I've been to Cowboys big wins. Like, I've been to Cowboys big losses. It's not the same as it was when I was a kid going to Charger games with passionate fans that you see at Petco Park all the time.
We got a break in a minute. Can I tell you something funny real quick on the way out? So Sunday, wife and kid are out in the morning and, just puttering around, doing chores, whatever. And instead of going to buy coffee down the road at 7-Eleven or something, I found my son had ground some coffee beans earlier, like a month ago.
Why is your son grinding coffee beans?
Just it was something for him to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
A
it was
month
like
ago.
something for him to do. Well, because we had this bag, like someone had gifted us a Starbucks bean bag. Not a bean bag that you sit on, but a bag of beans.
Don't give them any ideas.
Yeah, and they hadn't been ground up, and so he ground some up. And then I had forgotten where that canister had been placed on Sunday morning, and I went rummaging through the place where I thought
the
grounds would be.
Yeah.
And I found this bag that said, breakfast blend coffee. And I was like, oh, that sounds good, because I hate that coffee from the beans that was grounded. Like, it tastes bitter. I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't enjoy drinking it. I don't want to really suck through all of that. So I'm like, oh, here's this breakfast. Okay. Made that. Lovely cup. Tasted nice. Enjoyed that with the breakfast. Later that afternoon, Sunday afternoon, when we were playing the board game, started to feel...
The Dragons.
Worm span with the Dragons. Started to feel a headache.
Uh-oh.
Like, pretty significant headache that came on to the point that later I took an Advil to get rid of it. I thought it was because I was over concentrating, putting glasses on, reading stuff, right?
About the birds and the dragons.
Right. Yesterday, used the same coffee bag, made the same delicious coffee because it was delicious. It was much better than the bitter one that I don't like. Had some issues as the day went. Then last night, Mitzi, my wife, comes, hey, why did you open my breakfast blend bag? There's the whole thing of grounds that James, grounded for you. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't know where it was.
Yeah.
She goes, why did you open my decaf coffee bag? Decaf?
No wonder.
And I've had headaches for 2 days.
No wonder. That'll hit you. That'll do it.
That is going to do it. Mystery solved.
Now, if you just wanted to continue the experiment,
I could have kept going.
You could have kept going, but however, I'm guessing you were like, some caffeine stat.
I got a real cup of coffee this morning, and you know what? No headache. Everything feels great. Addiction, it's a troubling thing.
It's a real thing with coffee, too.
Yeah,
sure.
It is. But I was like, God, why do I have this headache? Oh, man.
Is that UE? What I like to term user
error.
Did it say decaf on the
I'm
bag?
sure it did somewhere, and I saw breakfast blend. That's all I cared.
That's all you cared about.
Yeah, I was just like,
right.
boom, breakfast blend. That's going to be a nice light roast. I'm going to enjoy that. Yeah, big time user error there. But as you said, I did think about it this morning. I'm like, I am officially 2 days into breaking my caffeine addiction.
Yeah.
I could continue down this road.
The caffeine fast.
Yeah,
Yep.
I could just keep going, and then I could be done with it.
You're superhuman at this point.
Right, I could be done with it in 2 weeks, maybe. I'd be over it. Well, I'll just get a cup. I'll just get a cup. What am I going to do? I got a cup. It was delicious.
It's funny because you would have kept going with the breakfast. You would have kept going
if I
didn't tell
know.
you, right?
If I didn't, oh,
you
God is
had
my
decaf
witness.
for another week.
I would have done it again today, and then I would have weaned myself off.
Yeah.
And the placebo effect, because coffee still tastes good, smells the same.
Yeah.
I would have thought I was caffeinating myself each morning. Doggone it.
Brady and I would have come in here, and you would have been like really upset,
Yeah, just
and
like
grumpy, and like and We wouldn't have known. None of us would have known, but it would have been that decaf.
It would have been the decaf.
Right.
It would have been my unknown withdrawals.
Yes.
I was suffering without knowing it. All right, with that, let's take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk to Tom Krasovic next. Talk Padres, talk Aztecs, and more with Kraz on the other side of this break. Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Have we heard Jerry's comment on that yet? Were there any comments on?
Did he say if he could see the moon?
That's what I was wondering.
When the piece of sheet dropped from the roof of
we
Jerry's
know
World,
where our
metal?
sheet metal will fall here at Jerry's World. We know where the sun will be, and we know where the sheet metal will fall.
They are very fortunate that sheet metal did not hurt anyone.
My buddy who's a Cowboys fan was like, "Oh, looks like we got to tear it down and build it north-south."
That's right.
This is
We got time to tear it down,
Time to
build
do
new
it
one.
over again.
Let's
Right.
flip it while
you
we have
look
the
up there,
chance.
and it's like Jerry up there, and just twisted and go, "Who, me?"
Looks like we got a chance to right our wrongs here. Build it north-south.
Well, right now, let's head out to our 97.3 The Fan
Just
hotline.
rotate it.
Yes.
Pick it up and twist it like a
They
Lego
got,
piece.
they got that
Yeah.
kind of money, right?
It's,
They could just
Texas. You can do that sort of thing, right?
They got Texas-sized cranes. They could just break it.
You mean you didn't build it on a mobile platform
Right.
that can
Just
twist
lift
90
it,
degrees?
Turn it.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah. Sofa can do that. Cronky's Palace can do that.
Back to our 97.3 The Fan hotline. Back to our good friend Tom Krasovic, who joins us once again here to chat all things San Diego sports. Kraz, Craig, and Annie here with you. Thank you so much for your time, buddy. How are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing great, brother. Doing great. Earlier in the hour, we chatted a lot about Jackson Merrill. I think we can all discuss the pros and cons of the Rookie of the Year voting. It went to Paul Skeens. It's done. It's all done. They can't hurt us anymore, the Riders, Kraz. But the good news is Jackson Merrill, even with a second-place finish, still is allowed to check in to the Padres clubhouse in Peoria in February. We've still got this kid for years and years to come.
Oh, tremendous value. 6 years of team control. I mean, I even wrote that maybe they should think about locking him up, to buy out some arbitration or free agency. That would be very complicated, but he was that good. Usually you don't even think about that after a rookie year, but given what he did, I can't poke any holes in what he did, which is pretty amazing for a rookie.
Kraz, you wrote recently about AJ Preller and what he typically tends to do in the offseason. We see so many hype train stories coming through the hopper these days. What do you look at for the Padres? What do you think is their biggest priority? What do you think that AJ Preller really needs to focus on in terms of setting this team up for success come 2025?
Well, this may not be exciting, but starting pitching, I guess I'm a little old school on that because you're trying to win a World Series, and between now and July, I go all the way to July 30th. How many starting pitchers, if you want to navigate 162 games, you're probably a wild card, right? Because the Dodgers don't seem to ever not win the West. So then you got to win 13 games in the postseason. Let's say you play 20 highly intense games in a postseason to win a World Series. My goodness, that's like 180 games. Let's call it 200 because the postseason factor is more intense. Do you have enough starting pitching to do that? And I know relievers are the guys nowadays, but I still think you're going to need a heck of a lot of starting pitching.
Well, that leads to creativity. It leads to looking around. Obviously, everything's just hinges on Sasaki, though, doesn't it, Kraz? I mean, before the Padres would make any other type of commitment, look to another trade, look to another free agent acquisition. You got to try and win the lotto first and get Sasaki over the line.
Yeah, I don't know if I see it as an either or, and I know you didn't quite frame it that way. Yeah, you're going after him regardless, hard, but Preller is so resourceful that there's always other avenues that he's exploring. Like this time last year, I think he was probably like a lion in the weeds on Dylan Cease. And that happened in 1 week before their opener, if that. And it was a great trade. Everyone was going crazy over the Dodgers getting Glasnow and all that, but demonstrably it was a much, much better move by Preller on several fronts, before and after. I mean, you could have questioned Glasnow's durability, but not Cease's, and that's how it played out.
One of the questions, Kraz, that we'd like to discuss here is the value of Luis Arraez. He tends to get conflicting opinions from different people, and that's another trade that A.J. Preller did early last season that turned out to be a very fruitful one for the Padres. He will be in arbitration this year. There have been rumors about will A.J. Preller trade him or will he keep him and pay that arbitration money. What's your take on his value for the Padres and whether or not he should be a big priority for the team?
Oh, boy, I could talk all day about this. I love this. First of all, the trade was awesome in the sense of he got a full year of them. The Marlins paid for all the guy's salary, basically $8 million. Probably, I think the Padres paid $500,000 for a guy who's has one superpower. I'm big on superpowers because you're trying to win a World Series. He doesn't need to be Tatis, but he has to bring something to the table. His superpower is against right-handed pitching. He's phenomenal at getting singles and doubles, mainly singles. And if you remember A.J. Hinch's comment on a late game move he made against the Padres, A.J. Hinch, very good, Tigers, good team. He said his wariness of a matchup with Arraez led to a move that ended up the Padres turned it into a victory. So you have to put a lot of context here. Oh, by the way, the same trade that the Padres got the Marlins to pay basically $4 million for a sunk cost, the Korean reliever. What was his name?
Usuk Go.
Yep.
I mean, so basically they offloaded they got $12 million out of the Marlins.
Yeah.
We'll see what the three prospects have done, but they were all bad this year. So people don't understand what kind of trade that was. And we'll see if Dylan it's to the point where the Marlins need those prospects not to just sort of show up and be in the majors and cup of coffee and that thing. They need to be, at least one of them needs to pan out and be a good player.
Well, Kraz, it's a great kind of platform to jump off of because if the Padres commit to Luis Arraez in any way, obviously they've got his services for next year if they want him. If they don't trade him, they'll come to an arbitration deal. They always do. Preller's never missed on those. So if they decide to do something different, sign him to a long-term extension, try and lower his average annual value as a result, you're going to have to play him somewhere. It's hard to play a no-power player at DH and just commit to that year after year after year. First base is a place that Luis Arraez at least looks reasonably salvageable, although he's undersized for the position. Second base has been pretty much an unmitigated nightmare for him defensively in his major league career. But there's a trickle-down effect, isn't it, Kraz, when you talk about it? Because if you lock in Arraez, now that also means what are you going to do with Jake Cronenworth? What are you going to do with Xander Bogaerts? Is Xander, in your opinion, a viable mid-term, meaning like the next 2 to 3 years, shortstop option for San Diego? Or do they need to push him to the right side of the infield, and then that puts the whole decision of what you do with Cronenworth and Arraez into a little bit of flux?
Well, you hit on the stuff that is really interesting and valid. In other words, last year Arraez's value to the team, because of all the things we discussed and the fact they didn't have certain salary issues that they now have, was much more attractive than this coming year. Mm-hmm. So I understand why they're trying to squeeze him on the dollars, and everything he said is pointing to this a more difficult situation to manage. I do think it is possibly manageable, but more difficult. And you bring up Bogaerts. I think he's the first guy who wrote about this offseason. Yeah. They have to figure out what is going on here. Now, is he fallen off a cliff? That has to be the question they have to figure out. Good luck figuring that out because he's had 2 injuries. They've got to sort out all that stuff. It's a tough projection to make because if he's fallen off a cliff, and by that I mean he's one of these guys who ages faster than you'd like, faster than you anticipated when you signed him. Some of the underlying stuff that Keith Law pointed out when they signed him. Pessimistic projection Keith made, former Toronto Blue Jays front office guy. So far, that's looked pretty accurate. But again, the injuries, we don't know. But if that is the case, you got to try to trade him, possibly. Because look at that contract. And you say, well, can we trade him?
Right.
It would be hard. It would. So there's a lot of complicated stuff with X that I don't know if they can figure it out, but they got to try. And then we get into whether the new guy who succeeded Seidler, where does he want to go with the payroll?
Right, because if you move Bogarts, Kraz, it's 100% guarantee you're moving money when you move Bogarts, and you're moving a good amount of money.
Yeah, usually in those situations, historically, particularly with the Padres, you take on a bad contract. You're hoping it's a pitcher because San Diego's a good place to pitch. And maybe there's some young guys involved to sort of, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but they have to make that evaluation because he's not going to get younger and you owe him so much money. Now, the hope is that some of his skills are not falling off a cliff. Defensively, he's pretty reliable, and you can still see he has the all-around, the all-fields adjustable swing. He puts the ball in play, and it's to all fields. He has a professional at-bat. But you look at some of the underlying stuff and the slug rate stuff and the expected slug rate stuff, it's kind of sobering, guys. It really is.
Well, Kraz, you're always a fountain of enlightenment.
Thanks for that optimism, Kraz.
Yes, but even if it's a sobering drink, it's a stiff, chilling drink nonetheless. We appreciate you. Thanks as always, my friend, for the time, and we'll talk to you again real soon down the road.
My pleasure. Have a good one.
Thanks, Kraz. You too.
There goes Kraz.
Hey, you know what though? I appreciate the fact that he's got it right. We've all got to look at the truth of this, and what Kraz wrote was right. Is this an injury or is this not an injury, and this is just related to fall off? And how can they determine? To me, though, it's like they don't have a choice but to hope that it is going to turn around right now. And hopefully not be an injury, and hopefully be injury related and be something that he can turn around. The other point that he brought up is he mentioned, in Peter Seidler's passing, what will the salary be with the new control person who's probably not going to be Eric Katsena next year? So what will the new person, I'm sure that they're giving AJ Preller a salary to work with now, and then how might that change based on what happens in 2025 and who takes over at that role? So a lot to unpack with the Padres for sure. Yeah,
Route 1 is for Xander Bogaerts just to play better. That's the primary path the Padres have to take, is just roll him out there and hope he plays better.
And you've got to try to find the best fit for him to do that.
Yeah.
The best way that you can get the most out of him.
And the sad thing is, I think they did that last year, and they found it, and then they had to move off of it. Second half of the year, he was looking great as a second baseman. Yeah. Now as a shortstop, we're going back this way.
Tell him early this year what he is. Tell him and let him feel comfortable.
I agree. We are going to move into the second half of the show, 12 o'clock Sports Fix. All your sports news coming up right after this. Midway through your Tuesday, welcome back to Annie and Elsten, your midday hang on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan, with Annie Halbron and Braden Suprenant. I'm Craig Elsten in our Odyssey studios, overlooking chilly Murphy Canyon.
It's been chilly in the morning.
It's just been outright cold.
And at night, yes.
Now, however, Steampunk Elf in the chat, joining us from jolly old England, says it's snowing and -2 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
There, so.
Sucks to be you, buddy.
Yeah.
Are you having some tea and crumpets?
I would hope. I mean, at least a little tea to warm you up.
No, tea for sure.
Well, whatever your
Tea always
situation is, whether it actually is lunchtime or whether it's, evening time somewhere across the pond, we've got the 12 o'clock sports fix for you because it's 12 o'clock here. And so we've got all the sports news, starting with Andy right now.
Okay, we are starting with the good old Dodgers.
I'm sorry. Pause.
Good old.
Pause.
I mean,
Well, that's like, I'm saying that sarcastically.
Yes.
Good old, okay.
At least you didn't say our beloved.
What is that when you have that in the kids say? It's like the S.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Sarcasm
Never mind.
font?
Yeah,
S
like
what?
S font.
S
like-
font,
Oh,
yeah.
S font.
S font, yeah.
Anyways. All right. They are the latest club to meet with superstar free agent Juan Soto.
Oh, boy.
Yes. The meeting between the sides is scheduled to happen today. It's who's outside the house, what's happening in LA.
Who's on the private jet to Toronto?
Right.
There's decoy
So
there
is
for
decoy.
Juan Soto to scratch him behind the ears.
Juan
Did-
Soto
did-
took a picture
did
of Antonio
Ohtani
Gates
leak?
the other day.
Yeah. Oh. Interesting.
You didn't
Where?
see that?
At
At the Charger game.
Little
Soto was at
Chargers
the Charger game?
promotion,
Yeah.
little Chargers recruiting there.
Okay.
Could you imagine if Juan Soto signed with the Dodgers and then at the press conference is like, by the way, I'm a huge Chargers fan?
I just love Antonio That's why I wanted to be in their hometown of Los Angeles. Chargers fans that are Padres
Maybe
fans will
it's
still be
like-
delusional about it. Oh, they're still San Diego.
Maybe
man.
it's like you're a future Hall of Famer. I'm a future Hall of Famer. Let's have a picture.
I'm actually rooting for that now.
I hope
Okay.
so.
Okay.
I hope so.
Okay, so the Dodgers join the Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, and Blue Jays in having met with Soto already. There are some undisclosed teams, according to Mark Feinsand of MLB.com, that have already met with Soto as well. The Giants, Phillies, and Rays are among the teams to have interest in Soto that have not yet had a publicly reported meeting, although the Phillies, it seems to be heating up for them. Anyways, left-hander Sean Manaea will reject the $21 million qualifying offer that was extended to him by the Mets, per Alden Gonzalez of ESPN. The Southpaw was one of 13 players to receive a qualifying offer this year. The deadline for that, by the way, is 1 p.m. today. The Padres have a new top prospect, according to Baseball America. Jeff Sanders wrote the story in the UT. The trade publication on Monday published its new top 10 Padres prospects.
They're what?
Their new top
Their
10
new what?
Padres prospects.
Yeah.
With shortstop Leo Dallas DeVries overtaking catcher Ethan Salas as the organization's top minor leaguer. Now, this is not a big surprise since the 18-year-old DeVries is coming off of a very nice year in pro ball at low single A Lake Elsinore. Salas struggled at the plate in his first full season at high single A Fort Wayne. And these lists are, as Jeff writes, a snapshot in time. So they will switch again in the future, most likely.
We generally like both players to be
Both
good.
players are top Padres prospects. It's kind of how you should look at
They're
it.
what?
Top Padres.
And
Top
I
Padres
thought
prospects.
I thought we were talking about something that happened on the movie Night Shift. That's what it started like she was saying.
What are
Top
you talking about?
You ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh, add it to the list of things that Annie hasn't watched that we should tell her to watch that she will not watch. Night Shift.
What is with you today? I'm curious.
Night Shift.
What
Craig, you've never
is
seen
with
Night Shift?
2023's
your animosity
Night
today?
Shift?
No, the with Michael Keaton. Night Shift.
Oh, wow. That's an old one. I don't think
That's
I
a-
ever saw it.
Oh my God!
1982's Michael.
It is
Night
a
Shift.
great movie.
What is the
I was
line
10,
that you're
brah.
referring to that is connected to this?
They run a prostitution ring out of a morgue.
Oh.
It's
Oh.
hilarious.
Wait,
There you go.
what?
It's a great movie with Michael Keaton. The Fonz is in it.
How
I mean,
are you
it's
connecting it to the Padres?
because it sounded like you were saying Padres
Prostitution,
You almost said
like-
that like 3 times.
Wow.
As you stumbled over prospects.
That would be a different free agency and
yes,
draft
that
for
you
the
know what?
Padres,
That's a different.
yes.
That's where I was like, whoa, what are the Padres doing?
Confirming his status as the oldest young
Padres
man
After Dark.
in history, Braden Soprano dropping lines from
Night Shift.
1982's classic
Great
Night
movie.
No one expects me to have
Great
seen this.
movie.
I'm disappointed in you. I can't believe you
I
haven't
was
seen it.
10.
Braden was not even probably born.
I know. Well, he's definitely not born.
Some of us have class, you know. My parents
You were
grew
like
up in the '80s, so like
18
we
or
had.
something.
My
You
parents
weren't
grew up in
even
the
a
'80s, so
zygote.
I grew up with all the '80s movies.
You weren't even a
16
protein.
Candles.
Now I see that this gets it gets 6.5 stars out of 10, but you're saying
It's hilarious.
you need to watch it. Okay,
you need
Night
to watch
Shift.
it. Night Shift's great.
Michael Keaton, Henry Winkler, and Shelley Long, and Kevin Costner.
Wait, is it a movie or
Yeah, it's a movie.
Okay, because
Directed
there's
by
also
Ron
a TV
Howard.
series, just so you know.
It's not the
yeah.
TV series. Yeah, but essentially he gets a job working at a morgue, and they turn the morgue into this like prostitution ring.
Those were
Perfect.
when movies were like real movies. They weren't all.
It's
you
great.
know,
It's
dependent
probably
on effects and everything. It was like plot. and
Craig.
Not
not
written
You,
by
shit.
writers
you haven't
in
pulled
Elise
up
Booth.
probably, right? Like I'm sure it's not very long.
Morgues. and-
It's available to watch on Tubi for free.
Right there you go.
Fantastic.
Night Shift. They got
surprised
some
it's not
great
just on
lines.
YouTube.
There's some great lines in that movie.
Unbelievable.
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 You got to watch it. It's like the movie. It's like Gung Ho. It's another great movie. Michael Keaton movie. I guess Annie hasn't seen that one either.
What is that one? Is that one about prostitutes in a morgue?
No,
'Cause
it's
I'm more
about
likely to watch that one.
it's about a town in like the Midwest that had a factory that all their jobs get outsourced to China, and Michael Keaton runs the plant because
Oh,
he used
no,
to
I
work
did
at the
see
plant.
that movie.
That's
That
a good
one-
movie
that
too.
one
It's
sounds
funny
interesting,
too.
but I'll probably start with Night Shift.
No, Night
on
Shift
the,
is
higher on the list.
Night
of
Shift
lists.
is fun. It's another great
Okay.
Michael Keaton film. You know, people just think he's Mr. Mom and Beetlejuice. He's got a great career doing other things.
Celebrate his entire career.
That's right.
Birdman was a great movie, by
It
the way.
was.
A great movie, 2012 or whatever. A little bit later, not 1982. Here he is, the king of 1982,
That's right. King
Braden
of the 80s.
Soprano.
Don't get me started on Back to the Future and all three of those movies.
Okay, I watched all of them in the
Those
theater.
are all great. They are ranked in order of how good they are. When they start
Oh,
going to the Cowboys,
definitely true. One better than two, two better than
two
three.
better than three, and
Yeah.
three's like, oh, I guess we're doing the Cowboy theme. But speaking of the Cowboys, Jerry Jones,
He was probably at the morgue where Night Shift was filmed.
yeah, he's probably still old at that point. Yeah. Dallas Cowboys had planned to open the AT&T Stadium roof ahead of Monday night's 34-10 loss to the Texans, but the plan was scrapped because a piece of scrap metal fell onto the field as the roof was opening more than 2 hours before kickoff. We could confirm. Glad you guys could confirm it, Cowboys. It's like not it was on video or anything.
It's literally laying on the field.
We can confirm a piece of metal came loose and fell to the field with some additional small debris. While the roof was in the process of opening, there were no injuries. It was being reviewed further, and a decision regarding the ability to reopen the roof safely will be made when possible. Cowboys attributed high winds during the day Monday to contributing to the piece of metal falling, and that the roof would remain closed for Monday night's contest. It did remain closed for the contest. That was the only thing falling from the sky. That would also be the Dallas Cowboys. As much as his time as owner and general manager of the Cowboys has been without winning 3 Super Bowls in the 90s, Jerry Jones has had downtimes too. We won one game my first year, Jones said, after Cowboys 34-10 loss to the Texans on Monday night to drop the Cowboys to 3-7 on the year. And so we have had rough seasons. Yes, I've been around, certainly have, yada, 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 typical Jerry Jones speak. But he goes on to say that the Cowboys, he does not believe that the Cowboys are, or that Mike McCarthy is losing the Cowboys. How long does this last?
Sheet metal falling from the roof is a microcosm of the Cowboys. It's just,
It is the microcosm of the Cowboys.
it is just, it's beyond
We know
repair a
where
little
the
bit.
sheet
you
metal
know?
falls.
Right. I personally think that they need to address the organization more than the players, and I don't even know that that's Mike McCarthy's fault. I just think it's like from the top down kind of fault.
It's cute to say that Mike McCarthy isn't losing the team he's already lost, that he lost a year ago.
Correct.
It's been lost so long. Oh, well, he's not losing them. Yeah, because the horse is already running out. The stable was open a long time ago.
Sheet metal has already fallen.
The sheet
from
metal
roof.
has hit the
It's hit the ground.
turf.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Speaking of things falling from the sky and organizations just crumbling, the New York Jets' disappointing season claimed another casualty Tuesday as owner Woody Johnson fired general manager Joe Douglas Phil Savage, a senior football advisor for the Jets, was named the team's interim general manager. Savage is a former general manager of the Cleveland Browns. That always works out well. Today, I informed Joe Douglas he will no longer serve as the general manager of the Jets. I want to thank Joe for his commitment to the Jets. More organizational speak, yada, 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 yada. Douglas' departure comes only 7 weeks after Johnson fired coach Robert Saleh following the team's 2-3 start. Douglas, who spearheaded the coaching search when Saleh was hired in 2021, wasn't consulted on the Saleh firing. Jets have since gone 1-5 under interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich. Douglas, who signed a 6-year contract when he was hired in June of 2019, had an expiring contract. He was to be a free agent after the season. Might as well get rid of him now.
Who did they all hitch their wagon to a couple of years ago?
That's right.
All these guys?
Well, they did it first with Zach Wilson, which was a major mistake, and then they made it worse. Under Douglas, the Jets have a 30-64 record, no winning seasons, no playoff appearances. Douglas has built a roster with young stars such as wide receiver Garrett Wilson and cornerback Sauce Gardner, but he had a huge miss by drafting quarterback Zach Wilson that everybody saw coming with the second pick in the 2021 draft after deciding to move on from Sam Darnold and trading him to Carolina. He then tried to fix the quarterback situation by trading for future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers in April of 2023, but Rodgers has failed to live up to expectations this season after missing all but 4 snaps last year with a torn Achilles. They do not mention how Aaron Rodgers needed to basically bring in all of his own people.
I
Still
think he's
wasn't
lived
good
up
enough.
to expectations, personally. He's lived up to my expectations for him, exactly.
And Douglas is gone. This is what you get for
You're
making a
outta
deal
here.
with
This
the
is
devil.
what you get. Hitch your wagon to the wrong guy. Guess what? Wagon goes into ditch.
Very Oregon Trail of you. Hey, you said a joke.
You all
I don't
get
even know what your
dysentery.
joke meant. You know what?
Jets definitely died of dysentery.
Because remember when it was actually an extended riff on when Jerry Jack Jones said, "We know where the sun is."
Oh,
Yeah,
like
that's
the
right.
sun and the moon.
We know
Yes.
where the sun
Yeah,
is.
I laughed the first time
At
I told
18.
that joke.
You're
You did.
right.
It
Okay.
was the second time.
I want to
TRM, you
acknowledge
just-
your joke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
TRM.
The
No,
chat is
we're honest,
acknowledging it.
dude. Let's go catch
It
up
was
to the
new
show.
to
here.
you. It was new to you.
That's
TRM.
right. I'm glad you enjoyed it, TRM.
That's my boss tells me all the time. Recycle the content. The good stuff. Recycle it. Because someone didn't hear it the first time.
I need money actually knows ball for once. It's great.
Back to the Future is the goat of movies. That's
100%.
fair.
Hey,
It's
it's
a great
fair.
movie. It's a great movie.
It's a great movie. Great
Why would I
flick.
possibly disagree? I would not.
And on
Okay,
this episode of Sports Fix and Crossing Streams, we move on to Craig.
here we go. I'm going to start with national team. The U.S. men's national team wrapped up their quarterfinal against Jamaica in the CONCACAF Nations League yesterday in St. Louis, beating them 4-2, winning the two-leg aggregate 5-2. Christian Pulisic scored twice in the first half, really a cruise for Team USA. They move into the semifinals, which will take place in March. March 20, 2025 at SoFi Stadium. So Mauricio Pochettino, his first competitive run as head coach of the U.S. men's national team, and they beat Jamaica, which you're supposed to do. So good for him. Over to the NBA. The Lakers are building another statue.
Was it for Bronny?
No, this one, not yet.
LeBron?
This
LeBron
one
and
will-
Bronny.
Could be in a couple of years. This one will celebrate Pat Riley, Hall of Fame
Nice.
head coach from the 80s and
Do
90s.
you want a statue built for you these days?
I better see every second of that statue
Yeah.
being built.
They have commissioned a different sculptor than the dude who made the Dwayne Wade statue.
Okay.
So
That's good. That's
Okay.
good news. Good start. Good start.
great start right there. But he'll be joining Kobe and Kareem and
yeah.
Magic and Kobe with his daughter and
Lake Show.
and Chicky
Yeah.
and all the rest of the statues out in the plaza at LA Live.
I mean, it's a huge honor. It's just that the statue itself
Yeah.
sometimes doesn't look like the person, but
It's almost becoming like a monument park
Yeah.
for the Lakers, the number of statues that they have out there. But c'est la vie. We're going to get to the NBA Cup schedule. Interesting little note here, though, because I want to play off something that Ben was talking about this morning, where he referenced, this is literally the legal definition of hearsay, he talked about what Steve Quist said on the San Diego Clippers broadcast on Sunday, which was that he believed that a dispensation had occurred whereby Bronny James would be coming to Oceanside on Wednesday
Hey.
with the South Bay Lakers. That's what Ben talked about this morning.
good reporting. there, Ben.
Having watched Quizzer on Sunday, okay?
Oh, okay. So Steve Quiz, he heard it from Steve Quiz.
He heard it from
Okay,
Quiz.
well, I like the boots on the ground
did
here.
you just call him Quizzer?
Quizzer, yeah, the Quizzer.
The Quizzer.
Steve Quiz, the Quizzer.
I better say that to him next time I see him.
Absolutely.
Hey, it's the Quizzer.
It's the Quizzer.
the Quizzer who does the
I always
Clippers.
called him the Quizzer.
The Quizzer.
So here's the thing. The Lakers do play tonight, and Bronny James appeared on their injury list with a bruised heel and is listed as doubtful for the game. I think he was doubtful to begin with, but...
So now even if he comes, he's not going to play?
He's that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If he's doubtful for the Lakers game, what are the odds he's playing the next day in Oceanside? Like, I'd say very
low. And also,
low.
he
Trying
wasn't
to do it
going
for
to
the
go on
fans.
the road, and now he's going to go on the road, but now he could be injured. So
This is what I'm saying is that
it's getting a little sus.
the Lakers have made a deal with the James family that Bronny will never travel. And then probably the good folks in Oceanside said, hey, first time down, can't you guys bring Bronny? It's not that far. He doesn't have to fly coach. You know, he can take a limo down, whatever. Like, and they're like, yeah, sure, okay. If he's healthy, we can get him down there. Oops, let's throw him on the injury list on Tuesday. Oh, sorry, guys.
Doubtful.
Sorry, guys. He's on the injury list. We can't take any
Yeah,
chances.
So, doubtful allows people to still buy tickets thinking maybe he will show up.
And then it allows the Lakers to go like, hey, we didn't lie to you. We'd always told you he could possibly be injured.
If he did come and he wasn't injured, how much would he play?
Probably,
Realistically.
probably 28, 30 minutes,
Okay,
I would
so
guess.
he'd have a good, he'd be playing quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think I saw the last game he played.
I
He
don't
had
know if they have some kind of
weird
thing with
stat
him
line,
where,
yeah. No, he's not playing well for South Bay Lakers, but he's played at least a little bit. Like, they said he scored a third of a point per game. I don't think that's true. I thought I saw a stat where he had like 5 points, 6 turnovers.
Well, listen,
et
if
cetera,
you want
et
to go
cetera.
check out Front Wave Arena, it's a good one to take a flyer on. You're going to see Lakers Clippers.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you get to see the arena, and you might get to see Bronny nursing his ankle?
Yeah, heel.
Nursing his
Bruised heel. I'm guessing he doesn't come down. I'm just saying, that's my follow-up is when they put you on the injury list, I think it's for a reason. And the reason is so we can tell them we've got a reason not to bring him.
Isn't it always for a reason?
Sometimes it's because you're hurt.
Oh, that's very rare.
But other times...
That's like 20% of the injured list in
Right.
professional sports.
Other times it's for reasons. Okay, with that, let me conclude the NBA report. Last night, Orlando won their 6th in a row. They beat Phoenix 109-99. Phoenix has lost 4 in a row without Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. They are struggling. Milwaukee finally came from behind. They beat Houston 101-100 and ended Houston's 5-game winning streak. Clippers moved over 500, edging Golden State in a not incredibly well-played game, 102-99 at Intuit Dome. But tonight... It's NBA Cup. It's NBA Cup. It's NBA Cup night. Tonight's the night. Tonight's good stuff. And it is headlined by the early game of the year in the National Basketball Association. You're going to want to tune in at 4 o'clock today for the Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics on TNT. This is the 15-0 Cavs putting that record on the line at TD Garden against the Celtics, who are 11-3, the next best record in the East, but the defending NBA champions and the team that would be a betting favorite to win tonight. So can the Cavs keep the undefeated season going? Not for nothing, it's also an NBA Cup game, so it's probably the game that decides their group between Cleveland and Boston. That's one of 6 NBA Cup games tonight. Here's what's at stake for the rest. Hornets at Nets. Both teams 0-1. Whichever team loses will be out. Nuggets at Grizzlies. Same situation. Both teams 0-1. Loser's going to be out. Pelicans, meanwhile, are 1-0. They are taking on the Mavericks, who are 0-1. So the Pels, who are only 4-10 on the year, could get a win and keep themselves very much alive. If you're a Lakers fan, you're watching 2 games. The Lakers are hosting the Jazz, while the Thunder, who are in the Lakers group, maybe the best team in the West, Oklahoma City, they are at San Antonio. Both OKC and LA are 1-0. They're going to play each other next in the NBA Cup. So it's incumbent on LA to beat Utah, and point differential is an important tiebreaker in the NBA Cup. So getting a big win tonight, winning by 20, winning by 25, that could be really, really important for both LA and or Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that tonight. That's your NBA update. NHL, real quick. Last night on the ice, the Ducks doubled up the Stars 4-2, while the Washington Capitals skated against Hockey Club, and they were victorious 6-2. And Alex Ovechkin scored 2 more goals. So that means Ovi is just 26 goals away now from Wayne Gretzky's record. And he leads the NHL in goals with 15. So really, really impressive. We are going to be keeping our eye on the Caps all the way through Gretzky's record falling, which apparently, minus injury, is definitely going to happen. Tonight, the Ducks continue their road trip. They are in Chicago against the Blackhawks. Back to you, my friend, for
college.
Good.
We're done.
And we're done, just like that. I love it when it's just like that.
Clock integrity Tuesday not going on.
Well, it's going. This is about how long the fix seems to go every day.
It's all right.
Just about 20 minutes.
I had some crossing streams in there as well.
We did. We had a little crossing
some
streams.
movie recommendations.
When we come back, is Tampa Bay baseball a reality anymore? I mean, there is some legitimate thought that the Rays could be done.
Legitimate concern. How things have turned for the Rays.
Didn't one of us say that like a month ago?
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of teased it.
A little bit.
It's like, I don't think they're going to be there anymore.
Well, the teaser will be followed by the kicker when we come back. It's Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Don't let AI dictate your fantasy lineup. Instead, get bite-sized fantasy football analysis in your ears. Listen to the Sleeper King podcast, giving you all the fantasy insight you'll need. Just 20 minutes per day is all it takes. Every league has a Sleeper King, and it should be you. Follow the Sleeper King on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Not to be confused with the Mattress King, which was a place in Long Beach, on Long Beach Boulevard, that had great local TV ads when I was growing up. Really old dude that had a gigantic, like, red puffy British crown and a big velvet, red velvet robe, and said, "I'm the Mattress King. Come on down, 2 for 1." You know. Anyways,
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
just one of my little peccadillo brain thoughts. Just
Did you call it a picadillo?
peccadillo.
Peccadillo?
So like an armadillo?
No, slightly different.
Slightly different.
My little idiosyncrasies can also be called peccadillos. That's your vocab word for the day.
All right.
A peccadillo. What are you seeing there, Annie?
Well, how do you spell it? P-E-C...
P-E-double-C-A D-I-double-L-O, I believe. Peccadillo.
Peccadillo.
The cousin of the armadillo.
A small, relatively unimportant offense or sin. Yeah, I guess.
Which is exactly
A slight offense.
That's how I describe most of these segments.
Parents recognize that their kids have a few peccadillos. They don't always remember to say please and thank you, don't put their dirty clothes in a hamper, and worst of all, they keep finding the chocolate stash. Your peccadillo was drinking Mitzi's
decaf coffee.
Decaf coffee, right.
Thinking it was real. Yeah, opening up her bag, which
Yes.
made her mad because, too many things opened. And then suffering caffeine withdrawals
Or a
unintentionally.
trifling fault. Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah,
Well, now
dumb,
we all know.
dumb things that spout out of my mind while I'm reading a liner. That's definitely one of my peccadillos, I think. Remembering the Mattress King from when I was 10. Okay, new topic, 1228 on the Fan. We are working our way, by the way, toward today's silly game. And today's silly game is Anybody Knows, the game of ridiculously easy trivia, where you take on Annie head-to-head, and there is a chance to qualify for our grand prize drawing for a 2-night stay at Westgate, Las Vegas. So in a few minutes, we'll be opening up the phones. Stay tuned. John in the chat, not as good as Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. Also in my home city of Long Beach, by the way, on Bellflower Boulevard. We drove by it all the time.
I feel like there was more going on in those mattress stores than just mattresses being sold.
Quite possibly true. This was a used car place.
Oh, okay.
It's Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. And then they'd show Cal Worthington, and he would not be on a dog. He'd be riding a giraffe, or he would be on the top of an elephant. And then there was this whole jingle: "If you want a new car, go see Cal."
Like an actual, like Flipper yesterday, like an actual
Go see
animal.
Cal. Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
I bet you I could find I bet you I could find it on YouTube.
Maybe in the break.
I'll find it in the break.
Okay.
I'll find it in the break. All right. Here's what we were going to talk about. Sports. Our dream could come true. Oakland could do the funniest thing ever.
Oakland Rays or Oakland Bays.
The Oakland Bays.
Oakland Bays.
Oakland Bay, B-A-E-S.
That's right.
Bring
The
them.
Bays.
Bring them across the county. Here's the news story, gang, about the Tampa Bay Rays. Okay? To catch you up to snuff, this previous fall, the county, Pinellas County, Florida, agreed to issue bonds to help pay for a new $1.3 billion Rays ballpark to be built in St. Petersburg.
Set to open in 2028 and was already approved.
Already approved. However, the bonds have not been issued. There needs to be a vote to approve the bonds themselves.
And a hurricane tore through Tampa Bay, putting a wrinkle, if you will, into
Yes.
this whole plan.
But putting a giant wrinkle, meaning
yeah.
like there's all sorts of damage around the city.
There
Never
were some
mind
pictures,
the ballpark.
right? There were some pictures that were going around social media yesterday that just show the devastation in that ballpark. I mean, it's not just as simple as replacing the roof. There's flooding. There's, I'm sure, mold. There's all kinds of issues that have happened now.
All kinds of issues. So already, the state, the county, they're in a really, really tough spot because The original plan was we're building this new ballpark for 2028. So Tropicana Field, the old ballpark, we're not going to put any money into Tropicana Field. We're just going to operate it for 3 years, and then we're going to tear it down, at the end of the 2027 season, or convert it into a used car lot, or whatever the heck they're going to do, right?
Cal, yeah.
Maybe bring in Cal Worthington in his dog spot. But now you've got a broken, ruined Tropicana Field that it's going to cost over $50 million to repair just to play 2 years in it and then leave it to go to the new ballpark. That's the current situation that is troubling the Rays. But wait, there's more. Elections have consequences. The election for the Pinellas County Commission saw a couple of the biggest backers of the new Tampa Bay ballpark outvoted and ousted from office and replaced by two people who oppose the ballpark, which now, Annie, leads the idea that these bonds could never be issued and the new ballpark never be built. That's now a stark reality in Tampa St. Pete, which leaves the Rays going, we're playing in a minor league ballpark.
They're already doing that this season.
Right, that belongs to the Yankees.
Right.
They're playing in the Yankees ballpark. They're going to show up at Steinbrenner Field for all their home games. That won't be awkward when the Yankees show up, right? Then where do they go after that? Quite possibly nowhere, because there's very, very little taste, understandably, in county government to repair a ballpark for $55 million that you're going to just leave in 2 years, sunk cost. And then there's no future home for the team if the 2028 plan is derailed because the over $300 million of bonds, $312 million of bonds don't get issued. So the Rays may not have a present, short-term, mid-term, or long-term home.
Right. And when you have, obviously, what was a natural disaster event that no one, well, I guess you could predict that you're going to have hurricanes in Florida, but the roof was supposed to withstand it. That was the reason that they had that roof on there, yada, yada. However, now what it opened up the door for is both sides, either the Tampa Bay Rays to say, well, shoot, we've been thinking about relocation, and now that this is on the table, let's explore that further. Or you have the city council, which is like, well, this is kind of our get out. Both sides have a get out of jail free card. And in fact, the commissioner-elect, who was set to be sworn in before the next meeting that Craig was talking about, quoted in the newspaper in Tampa saying, I think it really needs to go back to the city of St. Pete and be renegotiated. I always thought it was a terrible deal from day one. It really hurts the residents and the taxpayers of the city of St. Pete. And you've had very few people really come up and say that. So you're getting the divide now. Now, the last I saw with the Tampa Bay Rays, they're saying, well, yesterday they were saying, we're probably going to have to relocate. They kind of threatened that. They said, this is not going to go well. We don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. They threatened that yesterday. Today, the headline is they are open to new solutions in Tampa. So probably after that happened and those headlines hit, the two parties made a call and said, hey, wait. We don't have to get to that point yet. And so we'll see what it ends up as. But if you are looking at the possible Nashville team, if you're looking at, I don't know if they can bring back a team to Oakland, but if they could, you would be looking at this Tampa Bay team moving out and relocating somewhere else.
Can we all just say, like, the honest reality of the situation that Major League Baseball in Florida has never really worked?
It has not drawn the crowds that they would have ever hoped.
I mean, the Rays have made the World Series twice.
Yeah.
The Marlins won the World Series twice in their early years of founding, right? And nonetheless, there's almost no team with less fan backing overall than the Miami Marlins, and you would put the Rays in the bottom 5 in baseball in terms of fan commitment, season ticket sales, overall attendance, everything else. So I really wonder, almost like, why? We had a discussion in the 10 a.m. argument, 10 a.m. hour, I should say, about San Diego State football, and it's like, Why? Why do we keep throwing good money after bad? Is it really worth it? And I do wonder, is it even worth it to keep baseball in Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg area?
And now the stadium deal for the 2028 stadium is halted. I mean, they're not moving forward. So even if they do end up moving forward, is it going to be still opening in 2028? Is that going to push it back more? Are you going to have to play in the minor league stadium? I do agree. I don't really understand the whole semantics of what happens in Florida with baseball. I do think that they have tried. You've seen the Marlins really try to get fans to their ballpark. And like you said, they've had winning teams, both of them. I mean, Tampa, you can dispute how they do business, but they're quite often in the playoffs. So it is a weird deal there, baseball in Florida. And I would think that Major League Baseball would be open to them moving. I do feel bad, as I always do, for relocation if they do that for any fans. I'm sure they do have fans. They're probably more in the, 11,000s range maybe.
Right.
But, that's always hard to see a team leave. However, this is probably your easiest path, your path of least resistance for both sides in order to try to maybe make baseball more fruitful somewhere throughout the country.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Weren't the Rays thinking about splitting? Wasn't that the Rays' decision
Montreal.
that was thinking about splitting time in Montreal? Like,
Yeah.
if you're already at the point where you're thinking about splitting half your season in Canada, and that was the Rays' decision, things are not looking good.
Could you imagine if they just went to Montreal to play for a year, and
I could.
Then the fan base just completely embraced them, and it felt like a whole new thing because they would be a province's team, not just.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I've heard, and I'm no expert on South Florida, anything to be honest.
The Marlins have gone through bad ownerships and decision making.
They have,
and all that.
and they've had stadium issues.
Right.
And one of the things that I've heard many times about the Rays is that their fan base lives in Tampa, but their ballpark's in St. Petersburg.
I have heard that their ballpark is hard to get to.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're not meeting their fans where they are. And by the way, the new stadium was supposed to be in St. Petersburg as well.
Right. It wasn't going to make that issue any better.
Right. So, whatever the structural issues are, that's not for me to care about necessarily. What I do really wonder about is how much better off could the Rays be as a franchise if they did go. I mean, would the city of Oakland be willing to work with them to come up with something interesting? Because I would love to see that fan base rewarded with an actual good team as opposed to the A's.
And it would be kind of funny to see the Sacramento stadium. It would be kind of funny to see Oakland just be out of commission, like in terms of they can't go crawling back to Oakland because there's another team there and they're getting something done over there. And what's crazy too about the Tampa Bay Rays one is they've already invested, I think, $50 million into the new ballpark. So how does that work? You're probably not getting that money back. And we know Oakland isn't going to build a stadium with taxpayer money, but is there some kind of mutual partnership that you could reach, or some kind of getting out the bad blood of what happened with the Oakland A's, and maybe with a new ownership group coming in, you're able to find some common ground that you just couldn't find with the other team. So it would be hilarious. I mean, come on, it would be. Again, I feel bad for Tampa. It'd be hilarious.
Oakland A's.
Nashville too. I know they want to be in Nashville. That could be.
It would make more sense for the Rays because they've got fans in already the Durham area, North Carolina, because that's where their AAA team is. Not that those places are exactly next to each other, but they're a lot closer than Oakland. Nashville would make sense too. Point being, Tampa Bay really doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. It doesn't make sense to rebuild Tropicana Field. Doesn't make sense if you're not reissuing those bonds to build a ballpark at all. Playing in a minor league stadium for 4 or 5 years, it's going to destroy their franchise. Absolutely destroy their franchise. Could you imagine their pitch meeting to Juan Soto? Like, hey, Juan, come to this progressive organization. We're going to maximize your skills. By the way, you're going to be playing at the spring training home you were at this year for 4 years. And I don't know where we'll be after that, but still love to give you a deal. Do you mind if we defer some money? Yeah, I don't see it happening. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, silly games time. It's time to play the game of ridiculously easy trivia known as Anybody Knows, where you take on Annie Heilbrunn, and if you can tie or beat her, you will be qualified for our end-of-the-month grand prize drawing for a 2-night stay at Westgate, Las Vegas, 2 tickets to Soul Motown, and a $150 food and beverage credit. So, we open the phone lines. 833-288-0973 is the number. Now they're open. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Give us a call. We'll get you queued up. First contestant in takes on Annie next on The Fan. I always get so confused when like Annie's not in here. I'm like, well, what's going? She's pre-sequestered. She's pre-quested herself. I get so confused when like
she's locked in.
Like, well, what's going? Hang on, I got to turn off my
locked
sound
in.
She is locked in. I'm locked in too. I went all the way down a Cal Worthington commercial rabbit hole during the break.
Major rabbit hole.
You will enjoy some of the fruits of my labor in the next segment. But right now it's time to play silly games. And we want to start with a reminder that the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino features newly designed premier rooms, part of their $70 million room renovations, home of legendary Vegas fun. The award-winning Soul of Motown is a high-energy concert-style musical tribute celebrating Motown legends. This is a must-see show during your Las Vegas vacation getaway. Tickets at westgateresorts.com. At the end of this month, everybody who was qualified and won a silly game will be put in a hopper specifically from the Annie and Elsten show. One person is going to be pulled out and get 2 nights at Westgate Las Vegas, 2 tickets to Soul of Motown, and $150 food and beverage credit. Could it be you? It's the day to play Anybody Knows, the game of easy trivia. Who shall we pick for today's contestant, Braden?
Let's go Vince and Escondido.
Well, hello, Vince. Welcome to Silly Games. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
It's great to have you here. We appreciate you being a contestant. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we play the game.
Oh, I'm 68, retired, and wife and I have been married a long time. We have 12 grandkids. We're 12 on the way, so
12
life
grandkids.
Is good, no complaints.
You are doing a great job keeping the population moving, my friend. Appreciate you. All right, Vince, today's game is called Anybody Knows. Here's how it works. Braden has a card with 10 trivia questions on it. He's going to read you all 10 questions. A 60-second timer starts at the end of his first question, and you're going to answer as many correctly as you can in that time. The hook of the game is that all the questions are easy. Don't overthink it. Go for the most obvious answer because it's almost always the correct answer. At that point, Annie will be ushered in from outside. She'll come in. She'll do the same 10 questions. If you tie or beat her, you're going to be in the hopper for Vegas at the end of the month. Sound good? Silence equals consent. Okay,
right.
Vince.
I paused a second. That does not equal consent.
Silence does not equal consent.
No, not even close.
However, okay, so you're ready to go, Vince. I'm going to wish you good luck. I'm going to keep score over here with the whiteboard, and it's Braden's turn to ask you questions.
All right, Vince, got 1 minute on the clock to answer these 10 easy questions. Clock will start when I ask you question number 1. What type of creatures are lobsters?
Crustacean.
There are crustaceans. Yes, they are. What artist painted the Mona Lisa?
Oh, Da Vinci.
Da Vinci, Leonardo da Vinci.
Correct.
Where is the aorta?
Heart.
It's in the heart. Next to the street, this large fixture lights up at night.
Street light.
Street light or street lamp.
Yeah.
Both work. What drink slogan was, "It's the real thing"?
Hello? I didn't hear that.
What drink slogan was, "It's the real thing"?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola is correct.
It was? I thought it was Pepsi. Wow, okay.
What is the chemical makeup of carbon dioxide? As found on the periodic table of elements.
CO2.
CO2 is correct. What is the yellow condiment often put on hot dogs?
Mustard.
Mustard. How many colors are in the game Twister?
Oh, 5.
4, right?
There are 4 in the game of Twister.
Open the door.
It's a good guess, though. What is the capital of North Dakota?
North Dakota. Fargo.
Bismarck?
Bismarck, North Dakota.
All right.
Toys shaped like cubes used to build structures.
I'd say building blocks, but I'll say Lego.
Got to be Lego.
I'm going to give you building blocks.
Oh.
It's not Legos.
It's not
blocks.
Legos.
I'm going to give them the first
Oh,
answer.
okay, that's
on
cool.
that
That's cool. That's right. Fair enough. Okay, so 3, 5, 7, 8. Okay, you got 8 out of 10, Vince. So as long as Annie misses 2, you're good. We're waving at her.
She's like, "What's that over there?" Oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Wait a second.
That's the whole thing about the sequestering.
That's right. She went down her own rabbit hole. Probably
Indeed.
rabbit hole of eye wash.
She's watching all the famous, most eye-washed news
right.
TV ads ever. Okay, Annie.
Watch what happens live.
Today you're taking on Vince.
Hello, Vince.
Vince's score is locked.
Vince is on
It's
hold.
your turn. I wish you luck, and here's Braden with your questions.
All right, 1 minute on the clock. Starts when I ask you question number 1. What type of creatures are lobsters? What are they? They are a what?
Lobsters. Crustacean?
Crustacean.
Correct.
Oh, I didn't know if I was going to get that
Crustacean.
right. Okay.
What artist painted the Mona Lisa?
Leonardo da Vinci.
Da Vinci.
Yeah.
Where is the aorta?
Aorta. It's in aorta. It's in your heart.
In your heart. Is that some way that they would teach you in Valhalla how to remember it?
Aorta, you home? Yeah.
That's how they did it
no,
at-
I just
literally
made that
at-
up myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This time doesn't go against you. Don't worry.
No.
The booze paused the clock.
That's also 14 seconds of booze, Gravy. We got to fix that. Well, next to the street, this large fixture lights up at night.
A lamppost?
Yeah, a street
Okay,
light.
a
Yeah.
Street
light.
lamp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
street lamp.
A lamppost. Yeah,
It's the
close
same
enough.
thing. It's close.
What drink slogan was, "It's the real thing"?
Pepsi?
That's what I thought too.
Coke.
That's what I
Coca-Cola.
thought.
Coca-Cola.
All right, that's one down.
What is the chemical makeup of carbon dioxide?
Carbon dioxide. CO2.
CO2 is correct. What is the yellow condiment often put on hot dogs?
Mustard.
Mustard. How many colors are in the game Twister?
Oh, 6? Oh,
Four.
man.
4. What is the capital of North Dakota?
North Dakota. North Dakota?
North Dakota, North Dakota.
Fargo?
It's Bismarck.
It'd be Bismarck.
Oh, just kidding.
Toys shaped like cubes used to build structures.
Oh, Legos.
That's what I thought. Too.
Oh, what?
It's blocks.
That's
Blocks.
lame.
I mean,
That's lame.
Legos
I
are
thought that was
true.
kind of
Yeah.
vague, but
Well,
He
Vince
answered
got
blocks
8,
first,
and
so-
Vince
Wait, that
is
was
the
it?
winner.
no, that'd be 10 questions.
Vince,
it.
that's it.
How
Yeah.
many did I get?
You got 6. However, I feel like the last question was kind of lame because
It is lame. It's like Legos are like the new version of blocks, kind
Yeah,
of.
seriously. I mean, but that's true. Legos are not always cubes. They could be strips. They could be
Blocks are all
other things. Blocks are just blocks.
He knew Bismarck?
no.
No, he got
Oh,
Bismarck
okay,
wrong,
okay.
but he got
He got-
Coke right over
Oh,
Pepsi.
He
okay,
got the
okay.
Twister
All right.
wrong too.
He got Twister
oh, man,
wrong as
Twister's
well.
just 4 colors?
Yeah.
Would have
Yeah.
sworn that was 6 or 8.
Nonetheless,
Okay, well.
Vince,
That's
congratulations.
neither here
You
nor
did
there.
the job, my man. You are in the hopper for Las Vegas at the end of the month. Congratulations.
Vince is excited.
He's stoked.
Yeah.
Vince, stay right there. Keep that energy. Hang on the phone. Braden will get you when we're during the break.
Okay.
All right.
Oh.
And then we're going to come back with hour number 4 of Annie and Elsten, hitting reset on some of the topics of the day, reviewing the San Diego State Gonzaga game last night at Viejas Arena, and taking you down a Cal Worthington rabbit hole. All next. Hey, did you know? You can listen to 97.3 The Fan with your smart speaker. You can. Doesn't matter what you've named it. Just say that name and then say, hey, name. Play 97.3 The Fan. Boom.
I'm
Station's on.
dying at Matty B right now.
Yeah, he took a shot at my Norseman.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
You know, when you're on top right now, Granite is, you know, they're getting a little cocky over there.
Getting a little cocky.
Annie would have known Bismarck if she had gone to Granite. Tongue face.
Ouch, Matty B. Ouch.
The East County rivalries run deep.
Yes.
They
Ouch,
run
babe.
deep.
And before Steel Canyon was there, it was just Granite Valhalla.
That's right. And now it's the battle for Hamishaw.
It's hour number 4 of the program. Annie and Elsten here with you. Annie Halbern, Craig Elsten, Braden Soprenet. We go till 2. Gwen and Chris check in from 2 to 6. I went down the hall during the break to compliment Matt Scraby for Scrabination.
That was a good one.
With the ad, the
I did
Scraby
not
ad.
hear that. I've heard Scrabinators, but once he threw in Scrabination,
Yeah.
I
told him.
took it to another level.
Yeah,
Join
I
the
told him,
Colts.
like, you broke me. I'm broken now. This is too good. And he said, hey, every one of those has come from the listeners. Didn't come from me.
That's great.
He didn't make it up.
Yes.
He is just merely following the flow of Scrabination.
You know,
Wherever it
That's-
goes, it's going to take him.
The two, the lovely couple I met at the Washington State watch party
Yeah.
were part of the Scrapin' Nation. They were excited to introduce themselves as such.
That people are self-identifying
Yeah.
as Scrabination.
Scrabinators.
I told him, you are now a cult leader. And he said, wow, I've always wanted to be the leader of a cult. That's what Matt said.
What's the
Those are
flavor?
actual words that came out of his mouth.
What's the flavor of the punch?
Yeah, I
He
said,
has,
come up with your own flavor Kool-Aid. That's literally
right.
what I said. Come up with like a black Kool-Aid because he's always wearing a black shirt.
That's right.
Come up with a black Kool-Aid. Everyone can drink it.
What's everybody going to wear? Sneakers?
Black horror T-shirts.
He has a show tonight, doesn't he?
He does.
He should.
That's what all this tomfoolery is about. Is just saying that the Scrabination gets to rise once
So
again.
you get to rise at 6
See,
p.m.
he needs to play the Zombie Nation song.
I think he should.
Zombie Nation.
Scraby Nation.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh,
Hey, that's
we
actually a
are
good idea.
Scrabin' Nation.
Yeah.
It's like a chance. It's like a college. It's
Someone needs to make that for Matt.
like, yeah. They got to do like a We Are Scrabinators or something. The name is too long. Should be
It's
like,
a little
We
long.
love Matt Scraby. That works.
Wow.
We are because Penn State does it.
Yeah.
We love Matt Scraby. Oh. That'd be great. That's when people call in. This is great content, Matt.
Extremely disconcerting.
Put
nonetheless.
that on an ad.
Resetting some of the topics from earlier in the show. If you missed it, Jackson Merrill finished second in the National League Rookie of the Year.
Boo.
Paul Skeens won.
Quinn and Chris on the Fan.
The heck?
Whoa,
You guys
whoa,
think
whoa.
Okay. Jeez.
the boo got changed?
Jackson Merrill, very deserving. But
Sure.
look, Paul Skeens had a good season too. I did see something in the chat, a comment in the chat that I agree with, that Paul Skeens, like 5 teams, his last 5 teams or something, his last 5 starts were teams under 500. But that's kind of the way the cookie crumbles.
Sure.
The argument that Jackson Merrill was part of a team vying for a playoff spot and had to come up big in clutch moments to get the team there along with his performance, I think is a good one. Look, he was. I mean, he had to put the team on his back several times, and he did. It just didn't go his way, but it's nothing against him. He definitely deserved the award just as much as Paul Skeens did.
Yeah, people say, was Merrill robbed? I don't think Jackson Merrill was robbed by voters. I think he was robbed by circumstance. He was robbed because he happened to come up the same year as Paul Skeens, who was probably going to win the Rookie of the Year any year that he came up based on what he did, his level of dominance. He's not going to win the Cy Young Award, but he finished in the top 3 in National League Cy Young Award voting. He finished first team All-MLB. So it's really not a surprise. It's not a robbery. Skeens was deserving. However, Merrill was just as deserving. He was just as deserving. And anyone who was close enough to it probably feels the way we do, that somebody who was there from opening day, somebody who was asked to change positions at the age of 20 to play a position he'd never played, asked to make the jump from Double-A, like all of those things are significant qualifiers, whereas by comparison, let me tell you, audience, literally everyone knew last year, 2023, that Paul Skeens would come up and be a dominant pitcher in Major League Baseball. College head coaches were saying, we're facing a big league ace in college baseball. It's not fair. They were saying that when he was at LSU. So the idea that Skeens came up and was dominant, that was literally expected. That was the expected outcome. Nobody expected Jackson Merrill to jump into center field, win Silver Slugger, make the All-Star team as a rookie, finish with an OPS over 900, hit 5 game-tying or game-winning homers in the 9th inning or later, and lead a team to 93 wins and become the beating heart of the 2024 Padres. No one expected that of Jackson Merrill, expectation being the thief of joy. Paul Skeens fulfilled expectations of being dominant, ones that pre-existed before he arrived, and I think that's a big part of the narrative that gets him the award.
Jackson Merrill, slash line 292, 326, 500, 24 homers, 90 RBIs, 16 steals. He moved from shortstop to center field. He had many, many clutch moments. Ones that we discussed yesterday, too, where he literally won the game for them. I mean, he had to put the team on his back. He had 5 game-tying or go-ahead home runs in the 9th inning or later. That was the most in the majors in 24, the most by a rookie since at least 1961. They were off of really good relievers as well. He did everything he needed to do. He won a Silver Slugger. He made the All-Star game. He got the vote from his peers, from the rest of baseball, that he was the Rookie of the Year. It was just didn't go his way. You know, I like we talked about earlier, I thought it would have been closer. I thought that it would have been closer in terms of first place votes, where Jackson Merrill ended up only getting 7 of the 30. The rest of them went to Paul Skeens. And we heard throughout the day, after the announcement was made throughout the night, people's different reasonings on both Jackson Merrill's side and on Paul Skeens' side. And it seemed to be also that there was a lot of hype, as we know, around Paul Skeens that carried some of the maybe propensity for some of these writers or they were all writers, to watch Paul Skeens more closely than they watched Jackson Merrill. I mean, you really couldn't escape Paul Skeens all year. He was quite often on the national networks. He was quite often part of the social media conversation. His girlfriend was, and that doesn't take away from his performance. He had a great performance, but there was just sometimes the ability to see him more that I think may have also swayed some voters.
Oh, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. A lot of it is about being seen. And, you know, while there have been plenty of West Coast Rookies of the Year in the past, it's not like it's an impossibility. Heck, the Dodgers won like 5 in a row, if I remember right, from 1993 to 98. Nonetheless, there was a little bit of that. There was a little bit of baked in, just that Skeens came with the rep. He came in 6'7",
started the All-Star game.
Yeah, built like a brick you-know-what house. Like, you know, steps up immediately. Right, starts the All-Star game as a rookie.
Right.
And does the job. You know, there's nothing against Paul Skeens. I don't know if he's going to turn out to be Roger Clemens or Mark Pryor. I have no idea. Is he going to have a Hall of Fame career, or is he going to be done in 5 years, broken arm out of baseball? Nobody knows. But he fulfilled every single thing that was expected of him coming to the major leagues.
And if Jackson Merrill would have won it, you couldn't convince me that Paul Skeens was robbed. Right. It really was just how you look at it. I mean, again, Jackson Merrill, it's not like, you know, he came in second best on the award, but he wasn't. They're 2 totally different positions. One's a pitcher, one's a position player. You're judging them on different things. Jackson Merrill deserved it just as much as Paul Skeens did. The writers just ended up going that direction of Paul Skeens. But like we talked about earlier, I think Jackson Merrill has what we all think, having watched him for this past year, what should be a really good career ahead of him, a career where he gets to participate in more All-Star games, where he gets to be part of the conversation on a national level more, where he gets to post numbers that are spectacular year in and year out, and he gets to improve. And I think for Jackson Merrill, we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg of what this kid could be. And the great thing about him is that he doesn't need motivation. He comes with motivation. He has his own intrinsic motivation that's the hardest to have, and he's going to just continue to build on that for years to come, at least from what we saw this last year.
Yeah, we had scheduled on the rundown a performance review for center field. We'll get to move that a little bit later in the week. But when we do, we'll get into some of the going forward questions about Jackson Merrill. Like, now, what are the expectations for his second year? Where is it fair to set those baselines? What pressure should the Padres put on their second-year player? When's the right time to initiate a contract extension discussion? We'll get into all of that either today or tomorrow, either tomorrow or Thursday when we get into a center field performance review. That's down the road on Annie and Elsten later this week. Coming up in a couple of hours, probably around 3:30, if they do the show the same way as they did yesterday, we will find out that Mike Schilt finished second in the Manager of the Year voting to Pat Murphy of Milwaukee.
We don't know that. Mike Schilt could win the Manager of the Year.
He could.
It's Mike Schilt, Pat Murphy from the Brewers,
and Carlos
took over,
Mendoza
and
from
Carlos
the Mets.
Mendoza, yeah. And the argument for Pat Murphy took over the Brewers team. Craig Counsell left, lost Corbin Burns, yada yada.
Well, Mendoza did flip things around from rock bottom after 6 games.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
The
Mets were written off.
Or was it the power of Grimace?
Yeah,
As a voter, you're
votes.
thinking like,
Oh,
wait a
my
minute, was it
God.
Mendoza or was it really Grimace? Who was really pulling the strings here?
Was it Jose Iglesias?
It's true.
Right.
Which one was it?
It seems like there's a lot of factors away from Mendoza, so maybe it's not.
I'm comfortable in reading patterns. It was something I was good at since I was a kid. The Padres finished second to the Dodgers. Padres were the second best team in baseball. They had 4 players on the all MLB second team. And Merrill finished second in Rookie of the Year.
And Major League Baseball is going to give you the finger and say third.
So Mike Schilt's going to finish second in Manager of the Year voting.
They're going to say, no, he's not, Craig.
Just when you
third.
think you know everything.
That's right.
We showed you
Suck on that.
third place. Well, either way, good for you. Mike Schilt had a great year. And again, the good news for Padres fans is we don't lose the players because they finished second place. We get Jackson Merrill back. We get Mike Schilt back. He's got a contract extension. All good news for San Diego. The other major story in San Diego sports last night was the Aztecs taking on Gonzaga, third-ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs, one of the national championship favorites, along with UConn, right? I don't know who the third team is, maybe Duke with Cooper Flagg, but they're in the elite conversation. They're one of the 5 teams expected to be there at the end, going for the national title. The Aztecs would love to be in that group. They might be in that group by the time the end of the year rolls around. If they had somehow found a way to beat Gonzaga at home last night, it would have been the ultimate feather in a young team's cap. Look, it was not meant to be. 80-67 was the final score. The Bulldogs controlled the game from the opening tip to the end. The Aztecs got within, they tied the game at 12. They were close a couple of times in the first half. It was 9 points at halftime. It was pretty much that the whole way, the rest of the way. As Gonzaga, a team with an almost entirely returning lineup, comes back with a senior point guard in Ryan Nembhard, and he really was, I thought, he and the multiple low post talents of Gonzaga were the difference in the game because, Annie, the Bulldogs always had something to go to whenever the Aztecs made a run. They always had a very workable set that they could use in the half court to get an easy basket right away and kind of reset the momentum. I was very, very impressed with Gonzaga watching them in person last night.
Yeah, Nembhard was right there. I mean, pretty much every play, 19 points, 10 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 turnovers. He did a great job. And when you look at what Gonzaga has been able to do with EK and with Nembhard, to get those guys back and to have a team that has had experience facing this Aztecs team, much different scenario than what the Aztecs were going in with last night. The Aztecs just need, I think, more time. This was too much too soon to face number 3 Gonzaga. If they would have faced them maybe in December, I think a different story.
Yeah.
But you're missing 2 of your top players, your top point scorers, and even though Bird was out there, I'm sorry.
Miles Bird, yeah.
Yes, Miles Bird. I'm thinking I always get Bird and Boyd. Bird was out there. He wasn't playing. He wasn't really much of a threat. He was still nursing that injury and didn't end up being an impact player in the game. But to me, the Aztecs just need more time, and they need to grow, and they need to figure out who their roles are, and they need to get through this stretch without those 2 guys on the court with them. And I think they hold tight there. They, like we talked about, they've got these 4 games that are really big for them. You win 2 of them, you stand your ground, you get those guys back. And then you also figure yourselves out a little bit more. They've got a lot of potential there with the players that they have.
They do, and there's some exciting players that Aztec fans don't know yet that they're going to get to know. I think you got to know Nick Boyd a little bit last night, the transfer from Florida Atlantic. He led the team with 23 points. Ball was in his hand most of the time. He showed an ability to run the team, to get them into sets, showed an ability to get into transition off of misses and push tempo. He could shoot from outside. He showed the ability to drive to the basket and finish as well. So Nick Boyd's going to be a huge part of this team. B.J. Davis can step into a three. He's got a pretty decent shot from outside. And when Waters comes back and Bird is healthy and on two firm legs and finds his shot again, San Diego State should have some good looks from outside. One kid we didn't talk about at 10 that I did want to bring up as well is freshman guard Taj DeGorville. He comes off the bench, and I thought he contributed on both sides of the floor last night. Had a nice steal, set up a fast break layup for San Diego State in the first half, had a couple of buckets in the second half. You know, he's not got a big stat line that's going to scream off of the box for you from last night, but he's one of the youngest players, freshman on the team. Magoon Guath, redshirt freshman, had 5 blocks in like 15 minutes, but also fouled out in that time. There's a lot of work down low. Pharaoh Compton is another guy, 6'8". He had a nice post play, and then he had some cramps and he had to come out of the game. But I feel like whether it's Compton, whether it's Guath, whether it's Jared Coleman-Jones, the senior transfer from Middle Tennessee State, the Aztecs are going to have to find some kind of inside presence offensively. It can't all be guard, perimeter, contested threes for them to get where they want to go.
And they're going to be tested early on these next few games too. So it's like you've got this opportunity. We talked about it earlier. It's good and it's bad. You're playing really good teams, and you need to develop quicker than you would maybe like. You need to figure out the roles quicker. You need to develop that presence like you just mentioned. But at the same time, they're going to have the opportunity to do that over the next few weeks. Or they're going to have the opportunity to learn a lot from their mistakes. So you wanted to. It's probably going to be a balance of both, but hopefully they come out on the positive end of that more than the negative.
One thing that is undefeated is the atmosphere at Viejas Arena. I think it's the best dollar-for-dollar sports entertainment in San Diego. I do. Yeah. And the Padres can match it at times. Certainly at times with a big matchup, big giveaway, big opponent in town, sold out crowd, incredible. But Viejas, just the feeling in there, the electricity, the way that the bass reverberates through your feet and up your bones, there's just something special about the place. And again, tip of the cap to San Diego State athletics. I think the Aztecs athletic department does a 10 of 10 job with their men's basketball program. I think it's absolutely elite presentation, elite production, and a great time. So if you haven't gone out to catch an Aztecs game, as the conference schedule beckons, come the winter, you're never going to go wrong going to a San Diego State game.
Couldn't agree more. The fans know what to do at these Aztecs games. I think it's really cool, too, how there is the expectation now. You go to these games and the Aztecs are going to be in it. It's going to be a good game. There's no one that they're necessarily going to be blown out by, or, they might have a bad game here and there, but that this Aztecs team under Steve Fisher and Brian Dutcher are going to compete. And so I think you go to these games with the expectation that the show is going to show up. They're going to be loud. They're going to be dominant. They're going to make it hard for the opponent. The alumni are always there. You get like the Joe Musgroves and the Mike Schiltz. And it is a fun time and a very intimate stadium or intimate arena. It's a good time there.
When we come back, a grab bag segment before Ask Us Anything, in which we will look back because now the numbers are out. Netflix has got some chest thumping to do. After eating crow Friday night for all their pixelation, they were able to come back and say, yeah, how about these numbers? We're doing the best of almost anyone ever, even with a meme fight. We've got that, and I'm going to pay off the Cal Worthington and his dog spot rabbit hole.
Oh, boy. When
we come back. Guaranteed entertainment.
Do we have to?
Yes! You're going to love it. Don't lie. You're going to love it.
I'm surprised Andy's not excited for the eyewash.
Do you want that over Flipper?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
okay.
I do.
This guy's he's riding an orca in an episode. In a commercial.
Are you not entertained? Will be the question I ask after Andy sees these clips.
Laws were passed that
Correct.
Don't allow these things anymore to happen.
Correct.
You mean riding an orca?
Yeah.
That's probably not a good idea in general.
Riding an orca.
Stand by for fun right after this timeout on The Fan. Listen to Inside San Diego Baseball with Sam Levitt. It's every Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. during the offseason right here on 97.3 The Fan and on our YouTube page. Sam talks all things Padres baseball, keeps you up to date on all the latest hot stove rumors. That's every Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. Tomorrow night, 7 to 9 p.m. Inside San Diego Baseball with Sam Levitt. Annie and Elsten back here with you. Ready for a little SoCal history?
I mean, I don't think we have a choice.
Ready as I'll ever be.
You don't have a choice. For nearly a quarter century, reading off Wikipedia, from the 1960s to the 1990s, Cal Worthington was the number one used car dealership owner in the West Coast.
Wow.
According to one magazine, in 1988, he grossed over $300 million in sales. $316 million.
Dang.
He made the largest single owner of a car dealership chain. And he was known for over a quarter century for these offbeat television and radio commercials. And they would always start, as you almost heard right there, with an announcer saying, "Here's Cal Worthington and his dog Spot." But it was never a dog. It was never, ever a dog.
Never a dog.
It was always something else. He was leading a tiger on a chain, walking a leopard, riding on top of an elephant. It was always something weird and bizarre, and it would be like 20, 30 seconds of the commercial would be Cal Worthington on his lot with an exotic animal, and it would be a jingle in the background. If you need a brand new car, go see Cal. Go see Cal. Which was a jingle that was stuck in my mind for my life because I heard it a billion times as a kid. So I forget what got us down the Cal Worthington and his dog Spot wormhole earlier, but here's an example. I mean, these are actually pretty cool when you get back to it in terms of 60s, 70s, 80s marketing ingenuity.
Well, and by the way, now I'm down a Cal Worthington rabbit hole, thank you. But he was also a captain in the Air Force, it looks like.
The Army Air Corps.
The Army Air Corps.
Yeah, Distinguished Flying Cross.
Wow. Fought in World War II. He was a pilot. And he had 4 divorces, I think.
Well
4 divorces. Okay, 8. No, wait. 2, 3, 4,
Fifth
5,
one's
6. I don't know. A lot of kids. There's not a lot. 6,
a lot of kids
maybe
or not a lot
7.
of kids?
He and Ted Leitner could get together and talk about the 4 divorces.
I think 6 kids.
Fifth one's the charm.
Passed at the age of 92 in 2013. Yeah. All right. Here's an example of Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. Click. Play.
Here's Cal Worthington and his dog Spot.
If you want a better buy, go see Cal.
Cleaning a
Every guy was satisfied, go see Cal. Give a new car to your wife, she will love you all her life. Go see Cal, go see Cal, go see Cal.
Dumps water on him.
Hey, once again, I want to show you a painless way to get into a new Ford. Look.
Because then he starts talking about
Wait,
a bunch.
Was he the guy washing the camel?
That was him. Yeah,
okay,
that was Cal Worthington.
Okay.
And then he shows up in a cowboy outfit, and he's like, "Here's a brand new 1972 Mustang for $700. Here's a 1988 whatever." All right, but check out the second one.
Did he have a friend that he called that he was like, "Can you bring me a giraffe? Can you bring me a camel?"
He kept going, though.
Okay.
It wasn't just the camel. Here's another example.
Apparently had some dealerships here.
Yes, he did. Here's Cal Worthington flying.
And his dog Spot. If you need a better car,
he's on top of a biplane.
Or the best deal by far,
it's the same dude.
If you want your
it's the same guy.
It's very unsafe.
Go see Cal.
Now watch. It flies upside down.
Oh, no.
He's hanging upside down on the top of a biplane.
Save some money,
Cal's a
save
little
some time,
nutty
save a nickel,
and
save
also
a dime,
very
lower
smart and
prices
made
every
himself
time.
a
Go see
fortune.
Cal. Those jalopies on the blink.
Hang on. Where's the next one?
The thing about it is that can't be
Maybe
fake
later that-
because
Oh,
it
the
didn't
two.
Oh, here it
exist
is.
then.
Oh, here.
Oh, no.
Check it out.
What do you think? Go see Cal.
Now he's at SeaWorld.
He sticks his head inside the whale's mouth.
Now, look, he's putting a saddle on.
Lowest payments in
He's
your
riding an
town, go see
orca.
Cal.
There he goes.
Lowest money down, go see Cal.
He's riding the orca at SeaWorld.
Save a bundle, play it smart. From the dealer with a heart. Go see Cal.
If your little
He just got soaked in the soak zone.
Trouble's over in a
Wait, he's got an octopus now.
The down payment
That's
dealer
good.
And a
range. Get a
skunk.
10-day trial exchange. Go see
That was
Cal. Go
animals.
see Cal. Go see Cal.
If you want more for
Well, now
your
he's got a
pay,
giant
go see
pig.
Cal.
Better deals are never
Tailor-made. Go see Cal. If you
Come
need
on.
a car.
This is brilliant.
I will say, I mean, come on. Got to give the guy his respect.
Got to give him his respect.
He knew how to market back in the day when you didn't have marketing firms like now. And
I actually do remember this guy. Didn't they have like Worthington Dodge in town?
Yeah, I'm sure
wasn't
they
there
did.
Cal Worthington Dodge in town?
Absolutely.
I thought there was one in San Diego.
I'm sure there was. He had
Very
dealerships
memorable.
up and down the West Coast.
I mean, who would forget those commercials and that jingle?
I'm telling you.
Calvin Coolidge Worthington.
That was literally his name.
And made over $300 million back in the day.
In a year.
Right.
He had a 240-acre ranch somewhere in California.
So he had a tiger, a seal, an elephant, a chimpanzee, a bear. In one ad, Spot was a hippopotamus, which Worthington rode in the commercial. How did he get a hippopotamus?
Died in 2013.
Yeah.
92 years old.
I can't believe you rode that plane upside down, strapped on the top of it.
Paul in the chat. I will stand up on my head till my ears are turning red. Go see Cal. Go see Cal. Go see Cal. Guy got the job done.
Guy was on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson a couple times.
Think about what he would have been like with TikTok.
Oh my God.
With Reels.
Even more. His family should bring him back and just make TikTok Reels with him.
I mean, he would be the ultimate meme maker, would he not? He would fit in modern society. Cal Worthington would fit. As anachronistic as he is.
No, he would be perfect.
Old-ass dude, country dad. Go see Cal. Go see Cal. But are you kidding me? That stuff would play. That would play.
Yeah, that's
in
where it
modern
was.
society.
He had a Dodge dealership in the Car Country Mall in Carlsbad.
There you go.
There it is.
There
was
you
like,
go.
I've heard of. I'm like Cal Worthington. I was like immediately Cal Worthington Dodge. They had one in Carlsbad. That makes sense.
Okay, quickly to this news story. We could have done we could continue to do a whole
His
segment on Cal
advertising
Worthington.
agency named Spot Advertising.
Spot Advertising.
Had Worthington as its only client and spent $15 million on commercials, which clearly was a good idea because it made him even more money. So
there was a Worthington Dodge not right down the street. I think it was on Atherton. It was on Bellflower in Long Beach, and we would drive by it, all the time, 4 times a week.
yeah, my mom's texting me. She
Go see
remembers
Cal.
Cal. Yeah.
Worthington was kicked out of Arizona through having his business license revoked in the 70s. Restarted again in San Diego.
Oh.
Well,
John Hine and John Hine Jr. called him more crooked than every used car salesman in California combined. Amazing. Whatever would give you that idea? Go see Cal.
Go see Cal.
Just let me be first, friends. Just let me be first. There was one of them I was going down, because here's the crazy thing. The commercials would be like 3 minutes long.
My mom said there was only like 4 channels at the time.
Right.
Yes.
So you'd be watching KTLA or whatever.
Yeah.
And the whole commercial break would be a Cal Worthington ad. Because first it would start with him on the Tiger or whatever, and then it's like 2.5 minutes of him just going in the lot, going like, here's a 1972 Dodge wagon, $1,200. It's brand new. Here's a 1974 Mustang. But one of the ones I saw during the commercial break, he was like, you don't need to buy a car from me. Don't just come see me first. If you come see me first, you don't have to buy a car. I'm going to give you 2 dinners. And he literally holds out 2 giant barbecue plates. All the ribs, all the potatoes, all the chicken you want to eat at the Northern Station. Come on down.
The family just sold his last dealership.
Wow.
Worthington Ford in Long Beach on March of 2023 was the last dealership that the family sold off.
So there you go. I could have still bought a Ford at Worthington Ford in Long Beach up to last year.
I mean, I bet if you were taking a advertising class in college, he would be an example. Like a marketing class.
Absolutely.
Because that was before the heyday of what is now. You have think tanks and bubbles and pitches and all that. I mean, he was doing all that.
Yeah, but if you really get down to the bones of it, if you strip it down to the marketing bones, how much of it works right away in modern society? All of it, because you've got outrageousness, right? You've got a hook. Cal Worthington and his dog Spot, but it's never a dog. So as soon as you hear that, you're like, oh, boop.
What's it going to be?
Which one this time? Let's go. Right? And you've got someone willing to be outrageous and to put himself in the center to center himself in all of it. I mean, homie made hundreds of millions of dollars, but he's up on top of a biplane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
flying upside down because he knows his audience needs to continually see it go up, 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 and he did it for 25,
And
30
at
years.
some point, PETA stepped in and said, listen, these animals, where's the contracts for these? What's happening
You
here?
could get away with a little bit more
Of
in
course.
1975 and even in
height-
1988.
At the height of his business, he ran 29 dealerships from San Diego to Anchorage, Alaska. Sold more than 1 million cars and was known for his creative hard sell salesmanship. Died in 2013, age 92.
Highly creative, highly hard sell.
There's a Union Tribune article about him on the day he died.
Amazing.
San Diego, part of San Diego.
That's
sounds
right.
like, yeah.
Well, Orthodox in the chat just mentioned a modern version of this somewhat is Mattress Mac in Houston, right?
Right.
Get a free mattress. Astros win the World Series. Everything you buy here is free.
Didn't that happen?
Yeah, no, and then he made a bet, like a $70 million bet on the Astros or whatever.
He hedged all his bets, though. Like, he always does that. And
He does it every time.
If his bet of the Texas teams wins, then everybody gets anybody that bought a mattress during the time of that,
It's free.
you get it free.
But then he's going to make the money on the bet.
Right, so it doesn't matter for
So
him.
it doesn't matter.
But at the same time, he'll just give this. So if you went, so he gets a bunch of people to go buy mattresses before said big games, and then if his bet wins, then the people that bought the mattress from time A to time B, whatever, before the game, they'll send him a check, and their mattress is free.
But he's already made his money off
But
the
he's
bet.
already- he won
Wait,
a
so
huge
wait,
bet.
What's the deal with him? You can't understand what he's saying?
Oh, I don't know.
No,
Oh.
he's just kind of weird. People don't like. But
Oh, okay,
Texas
okay, okay.
Texas people don't like him betting on their teams because when he
see.
bets on your team, they lose. But then he hedges the bet, so he doesn't really end up losing money anyway.
Yeah, he
It's
bet.
a huge marketing thing to get people to buy.
Just seeing in the last time the Astros won the World Series, he bet over $10 million on the Astros, and he won about $75 million, which I'm sure he had already calculated based on the amount he was going to lose in his mattress company when he made everyone's mattress free. So
Hey, man.
He
takes
is
money to make money. You
the
got
lo-
you got
Right.
to be a little risky.
But he is the
Or a lot.
logical. I'm thinking of a timeline. He's at the end of the timeline that Cal Worthington was at the start of.
Yeah.
Right? Worthington here, direct line, draw the line
all
directly
starts with John Hamm and Mad
to
Men.
Mattress Mac. Right. John Hamm would have very much approved.
Yes. John Hamm's.
Don Draper.
John Hamm's.
Don Draper would have approved
I got you.
of the Cal Worthington ads. Okay, look at that. Off-season content at its finest. There it is.
We all enjoyed that so much.
We did. See, I told you you'd enjoy it. You got to trust me.
He also had a roller skating chimpanzee and a water buffalo in his commercials.
I think that thing that Craig thought was a camel was a water buffalo.
Was that a
Oh,
water buffalo?
Okay.
Yeah, it had a cow face. It wasn't a camel.
Oh,
I think that was his water buffalo.
that was the one then.
Or a cow with a huge hump.
Yeah, and you
It's
got
not
to
a
see
camel.
its skinny body in all of its glory. Only wearing shorts in that ad. His wife throwing water buckets at him.
Which one was that?
That was divorced wife number 2.
Okay. Divorce knife number 3. Come on down.
If you want to
Fifth one's
get a
the
divorce, go
charm.
see Cal.
Hey,
To be in the commercials,
Get a
depending
piece of
on
the dealership, go see Cal.
what year they are.
Hey. Probably got some. Never mind.
When we come back, you can ask us anything. This is our call-in catch-all segment to wrap up the show, and the lines are open now. See?
Not yet.
Like, not now. Now.
Now they are. You're right.
Dexter in Spring Valley just called in. I just put him on hold. That's how it works. 833-288-0973. You've got 11 minutes to call the show. 833-288-0973. If you call in those 11 minutes, we're going to put you on the air. All you need to do is come ready with a question to ask the show. Annie and Elsten wrap up next. Gwen and Chris follow on 97.3 The Fan. Braden is 100% right that Danny McBride needs to take on the Cal Worthington used dealership rivalries of the 1970s and make this a show a la the Righteous Gemstones.
Yes. Goggins needs to be in it.
Yep. Walton Goggins must be Cal Worthington.
100%.
We've just cast John Hamm as John Hine.
He's
the
great.
rival dealership guy.
Who's always mad. He's a little over serious and always pissed off. And we're going to figure out where Danny McBride is in there. He's probably like the GM of Worthington Ford or something.
I feel like you got to put JB Smoove in that show for no reason.
Why not? As the guy that Worthington's always getting on.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Because we know he's going to be a despicable character.
Right.
Just a completely irredeemable character on the show.
You have to basically merge the Righteous Gemstones and that Larry David show. What's it called? Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Perfect.
Just mix the casts.
Yes.
Danny McBride, I hope you're taking notes because this
It'd be
is
great. I mean, guys like that show needs like an Eric Andre for no reason.
Yes,
right.
This
It's
is a
like
hit.
A bunch of comedians.
I think
that
this would
are
be a good
just-
idea.
You
Right.
know what? I think we got to pitch it to Hollywood.
I think we just did. I hope you're listening.
Steve Zahn would be great.
I'm gonna let Rafi know. Maybe Rafi will write this.
Yeah, write it
as
up.
A screenplay.
And we just need a small
plot
percentage
ideas too, because you could always go with the people who are on the lot looking for cars too.
Yes.
And
Oh my God. The comedy
Yes.
is a half-hour comedy. This is
That'd be great. Well, the cameos you can like install, as Andy said, of people buying cars.
right.
absolutely.
During the 70s, since that would be just hysterical.
Let's hit the bumper. All right, we got some folks on hold. We also got a couple questions in the chat. Jake in the chat says, and we talked about this a couple segments ago, so I think we can button this one pretty quick. Says, AMA, if you owned the Rays and St. Pete was no longer going to build the new stadium or fix the damaged trop, where would you move the Rays?
Nashville.
I do love Nashville, but I would move them to Oakland
I would
because
move them
Oakland
to
lost
Oakland.
the team.
I too, would move them to Oakland.
I would totally move to Nashville. I think the Oakland thing would just get frustrating for the Rays.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they might. But who knows? Maybe the city of Oakland would be like,
Hey,
Fisher was being such a jerk.
Right.
Here's the deal.
There's usually
We can work with
blame to go on both sides on these things, and I don't know why you would sign it. They'd be like, "Hey, what's wrong with the Coliseum?" All of a sudden, they'd flip it again.
Right.
Why not? Why not go to a city and start over?
Maybe they and the White Sox will just trade places. White Sox will farm out to Nashville, and the Rays can become the Sox.
Plus, Nashville is just a rising city right now. There's so many people moving
Yes.
there.
It's true.
Jump on it early. They'll probably build you a stadium for nothing.
It is Tennessee. I would imagine that to be the case. Nonetheless, they're not moving anywhere right now. But good question, Jake.
Think about all the country star celebrities you'd have showing up. I mean, it's basically like Hollywood out there.
Oh, for sure.
My sister went to a farmer's market the other day, and Hardy was there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just at the farmer's market.
Here's Dexter in Spring Valley. Hi, Dexter. Thanks for calling in. Ask us anything.
Bonjour. Why not move them to Montreal?
Yeah, Montreal. I agree with you. I'm with you, Dexter. Montreal.
Not bad.
So, I'm going to phrase it this way. Did you know
No, I didn't.
That.
basically the godfather of the infomercial?
Oh, Dexter, you cut out halfway through that. Right after "Did you know?" there was like a 2-second
left
pause.
us in suspense.
So
Okay.
we need a redo of that sentence.
Okay, so did you know that, number one, Cal Worthington is the godfather of the infomercial?
There we go. Okay, because of those 3-minute
Because
long ads.
all of his ads, Craig, all of his ads aired late night during what our parents used to call the late night movies, insomnia
Yes.
theater,
Ooh.
right? And that's why they were so long. Or for us kids from that generation on Saturday afternoons, like Kung Fu Theater
Mm-hmm.
and those cheesy movies and like that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that's why his commercials were so long, because they actually filled up those spots because nobody wanted to advertise at those times. So that's why he's
You're on
the
it, Dexter.
godfather of the infomercial. The
That's
second
brilliant.
thing is,
Oh.
with regard to the aquatic animals,
Yes.
he had a deal at the time with Marineland, not SeaWorld, because Marineland, remember, they shut down.
Where was
And so before they
Marineland?
had to send out their animals, either set them free or send them to, other aquatic parks, he had access to the orcas, to the octopus, to the, name your aquatic animal. So that's what Worthington did. He had he was a very savvy guy because otherwise he would have had to pay a pretty penny to have access. He got in for free because they were getting rid of the animals and closing the park anyway.
Wow.
Bring me your homeless animals
Brilliant.
to the Carlisle. Where was Marineland?
I'm pretty sure I went to this at one point in my childhood.
Yeah, it was in Palos Verdes, California.
Oh.
Okay, I know this because I went to Long Beach State, and when I got to Long Beach State, the park was closing. So, like the marine biology program at Long Beach State really suffered because all the people who were interning there basically had no place to go.
Yeah. I know I went to Marineland when I was a kid. I know I did. I remember it now. I remember going to Marine. I think I went to it before I went to SeaWorld, which would make sense because it was closer to me living in Long Beach. Dexter, great additions. Thank you so much.
Go.
Thanks, Dexter. The more you know.
All right, guys.
Appreciate you, brother. That was good.
That was.
Here's John in Temecula. Ask us anything,
line.
John.
Oh, hi, Craig and Annie. It's nice to be on with you guys for the first time and back on with Braden. How you guys doing?
Doing great, brother.
Doing
Thanks
well.
for being here.
Yeah, that's funny. I wasn't thinking about Cal Worthington, but I also am a Long Beach kid originally. When I was a little kid, my dad was a cop for Long Beach PD, and he had a side hustle working for Cal Worthington Ford there. It was either in Long Beach or somewhere very near Long Beach. And I think that's why we had a lot of Fords in our family. I think he got a little deal there, but that's pretty cool. The Cal Worthington thing just came up. I didn't even know. But, okay, so I called in to find out what your salsa heat level tolerance or preference is, each of the three of you. And there's a reason I ask, and I'll tell you about that in a second.
Okay. What level salsa heat, Annie?
I'm medium. I don't go
I'm
super
kind of
hot.
a medium, too.
I don't go mild. I'm medium.
Now look at these three green guys in
Yeah.
here, John. I mean,
Yeah, it would have been worse if we said mild.
Right.
yeah. If it's too hot, I start hiccuping, John. I'll just tell you that I have an involuntary hiccup.
It's okay. I'm a long-time 97.3 The Fan listener. I've listened to Annie do Padres stuff for years.
Thank you.
And I listened to You're very welcome. Be nice to meet you in person sometime. Originally grew up in Fallbrook, played baseball there, went to Palomar College before I moved on. Tried to get a scholarship from Coach Dietz, didn't happen, so I went to UC Riverside. But I'm a Palomar baseball booster, and there's several people in administration at your station that help us out each year with our fundraising tournament. So Paulie from Ben & Woods has got a little thing for me, and so this will be the second annual thank you package coming to the station next week
Nice.
from my spicy foods business. So you guys will be looking for that, and chips and cheese and bowls, so you guys can enjoy some of that.
Appreciate
fun stuff
that.
for the
Thank you
holidays.
very much.
That's
Amazing
really
stuff,
nice.
John.
Thank you,
Yeah,
John.
we're going to keep our eyes out for it, and we'll report back on whether we hiccuped or not. But that was really good. Thank you, John. Appreciate you. And by the way, on Silly Games, when I say, hey, tell us a little bit about yourself before we play, John just gave you like maybe the 2X template, but like kind of the idea. Like, here's where I
That's the
am, here's what I
format.
do. Yeah, that's the idea.
From San Diego, like the Padres.
Big Padres fan.
That's about it.
Huge Padres fan. Oh, boy, the bumper's about to hit. Charles, Juan, sorry, that's the gotta go bumper. Please call back tomorrow. Charles and Ramona, Juan and Vista. We'll get you on. We'll make a point to move you up in the show. Tomorrow, USD men's soccer coach Brian Quinn, San Diego Soccer's legend,
Yes.
will be joining us as his club gets ready to run for a potential national championship. And we'll bring you the Padres performance review for center field. I think the kid's going to get a passing grade. Gwen and Chris, up next on The Fan.
Bye.